Good morning. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Degwa and we are broadcasting to you live from the broadcasting house. I hope that you have started your day off well. Now today is the 28th of January, beautiful Tuesday, and we as Good Morning Kenya are ready to let you know everything that is happening around the country. And just to let you know, there's a story I've seen here on the devolution scorecard, the sectors driving counties. Now, agriculture and manufacturing remain the key drivers of economies across many counties. Agriculture and manufacturing seems to be what is driving the economy right now. So that's a story that is on the Standard. I am sure that we'll get to look into that when we get into the headlines. Aside from that, today being a Tuesday, we will be having Entrepreneurship Tuesday, and I will be joined by a software engineer and cybersecurity expert. And our topic of conversation will be on dealing with cybersecurity. You definitely want to stay tuned for that at around 9 a.m. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Vivian. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
And to everyone who is watching Good Morning Kenya, welcome to the program. This is KBC Channel 1's Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe, and it's always a pleasure to have you start your day with us. And as Vivian has said, today the show is well packaged for you. And it's been 30 years since the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. And today we look at the progress made, the challenges that have remained, and what's the way forward, given that now it's been 30 years since that happened. And in studio, in a little bit, I'll be joined by PS Anne Wangombe, who is a Principal Secretary in the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. I want to invite you to tune into this live broadcast and learn more about this. In the meantime, Marie is in studio. How are you doing, Marie?
A very good morning to you, Mike. Vivian, how are you doing this morning?
We're doing great. How are you?
I think the weather is going to be good today, unlike yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we had a very chilly morning.
Yeah.
Mike was actually drenched yesterday. Yeah, I do not want to say how he ended up looking dry on set.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Those are
I left the house and I reached town. I met rain, so
yeah.
But God works wonders. By the time I was coming on set, I was dry.
You were all good.
Yes.
We worked miracles for him. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Marie Ambo, and definitely I'll be bringing you up to speed with all matters news. If you've not heard, but there is a conflict happening in the DRC, and so President William Ruto is expected to actually, oversee a summit of the East African community this Wednesday, where they will be talking about that conflict and trying to just bring, the warring parties together. Rwandan President, that is Paul Kagame, and also Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC are expected to attend that particular summit over that conflict. That will be coming up in the news this morning, including realignments in the political scene where, DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, NARC Kenya leader, that is Martha Karua, have actually joined forces together with his former CS, Fred Matiang'i, ahead of the 2027 general election. So all those details will be coming up in the news this morning, including business and sports. So let's begin with our first story from State House, where President William Ruto has called for dialogue to resolve the ongoing conflict in Goma, that is in Democratic Republic of Congo. President Ruto, who is the current chairperson of the East African Community, will host the summit on Wednesday to chart the way forward, and both, that is Rwandan President Paul Kagame and also DRC President, that is Felix Tshisekedi, have confirmed their attendance. Nancy Okware begins our bulletin this morning.
On Monday, President William Ruto hosted the retreat of the implementation of the institutional reforms of the African Union at State House, Nairobi. The retreat was aimed at fashioning an efficient and robust, financially independent and fit-for-purpose African Union.
The AU must streamline its decision-making processes to ensure that they are timely and results-oriented.
Our union can stand on its feet only if we can meet the goals we set to cover 75% of our program budget and 25% of peace support mission. In this connection, we have to advance creative financing, including by encouraging private investment from our continent.
The issue of regional peace featuring prominently, with President William Ruto expressing concern over the conflict in eastern DRC's town of Goma and its effect on Africa's prosperity.
Now more than ever, it is an existential issue, not just for the people of eastern DRC, but for this region. The situation in eastern DRC now demands our collective focus.
President Ruto saying that the conflict in eastern DRC cannot be resolved through military action but through dialogue.
We do not see, from where I sit, a possibility of a military solution to the challenges that faced eastern DRC. It was, it is, and I'm sure it will continue to be the case, that engagement, dialogue, consultations is the only viable way out of the situation in DRC.
A summit has been slated for Wednesday this week, bringing on board all parties.
I have discussed the summit meeting for Wednesday both with President Paul Kagame and President Felix Tshisekedi, and both of them have confirmed their participation in the summit.
During the retreat at State House, the leaders present also discussed the importance of the operationalization of the Africa Court of Justice by June 2025.
The African Court of Justice and the protocols necessary for its implementation were concluded in 2009, and 16 years later, we have not been able to operationalize. We can have a mechanism for conflict resolution in our continent, especially on disputes between countries, disputes between institutions of the African Union.
Deputy President, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, has called for dialogue between the Controller of Budget, that is Margaret Nyakango, and the governors over a bursary standoff. Speaking during the 26th session of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, that is IBEC, at his current residence, the DP said that there is no need for a back and forth between the two, and that instead they should find a way to resolve their differences.
Having been appointed as a member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Selection Panel.
Minutes after 9 o'clock Monday morning, members of the new IEBC selection panel were sworn in an event witnessed by Chief Justice Martha Koome. Those who took the oath of office were Professor Adams Olo, Nelson Makanda, Ambassador Koki Moli, Evans Misati, Nicodemus Bore Kipchirchir, Andrew Tanoi Kipkoech, and Linda Kiomegaki, while two other members, Fatma Saman and Carol Kituku, missed the occasion. The 9-member selection panel, comprising representatives of various organs, including political parties, Interreligious Council, and the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, will have 90 days to find the next chairman and commissioners of the IEBC. Speaking after the exercise, Chief Justice Martha Koome challenged the panel to seek the best, like Caesar's wife.
The future of our democracy depends on the integrity of the men and women you select to lead the IEBC. The commissioners you appoint must be individuals of untainted credibility.
While expressing her disappointment at the lack of commissioners, which had denied IEBC the ability to execute its mandate for the last 2 years, the CJ said there is need for a team that must inspire trust and confidence among Kenyans.
Your guiding principle must be merit and merit alone. The individuals you select must inspire confidence in the electoral process and uphold the values of transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. Kenyans are watching, and the trust they place in our institutions will be determined by the integrity of the choices you make, my brothers and sisters.
We do apologize for that mix-up of the stories. Of course, that was the swearing-in of the selection, the IBC selection panel. Well, we do move on, where former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, and also DAP leader Eugene Wamalwa, now Kenya leader Martha Karua, and former Cabinet Secretary, that is Fred Matiang'i, together with Jubilee's Jeremiah Kioni, they have confirmed that they will form a coalition ahead of the 2027 polls. Speaking during the launch of the DAP Kenya headquarters in Karen, the leaders have affirmed the formation of the outfit, whose name they said will be revealed in the coming days. DAP leader Eugene Wamalwa and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka have said that the new outfit will replace the current Azimio.
After weeks of speculation that the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, na Kenya Party leader Martha Karua, PNU leader Peter Munya, and former Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i are in talks ahead of the 2027 polls.
To attack as we form the new coalition.
The leaders came together at the launch of the DPK party headquarters in Karen, where they made it evident that they will form a new political outfit that will contest for the country's top seat in the 2027 elections.
We are starting a new journey. We are opening a new chapter. The formation of a new coalition.
That whenever we were coming together in the past, we will be hardened. Yani unaonekana mbaya if you don't take the necessary step. This time, we want to give everybody reasonable comfort level.
But I want to tell these leaders, you must be steadfast. You must be on the right side of history. And with these two great leaders, and Matiang'i and the others who come on board, we'll work together.
Matiang'i called me from where he is. Na wale ambao hawajui, amepewa kazi na World Bank kule Latin America, ambaye alikuwa amepatiwa agreement. Sasa ameamua atawachilia hiyo kazi, atarudi Kenya, na yeye atakuja kukuwa na hawa ndugu wetu.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and his DAPK counterpart Eugene Wamalwa have confirmed that the Azimio coalition no longer exists following the ODM party's decision to join the broad-based government.
Let us tell Kenyans the truth. Azimio died last year.
My friend Eugene, let's not announce everything to these people. We have to be strategic.
However, the leaders did not reveal the name of the outfit.
But that is not enough. You must take IDs and register as voters. Because the final transformation of this country will happen on the ballot box. If you know the pressure I am under to announce a vehicle, I am not sleeping.
Let me take you back a little bit to that story from the Deputy President's office, where Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has called for dialogue between the Controller of Budget, that is Margaret Nyakango, and the governors of a bursary standoff. Speaking during the 26th session of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, that is IBEC, at his current residence, Kindiki said that there is no need for back and forth between the two, and instead urged them to find a way forward.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki chaired the second Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council meeting at his current residence. It is at the 26th session the country's second-in-command weighed in on the back and forth between the county heads and the Control of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyakango.
I know we have some differences of opinion around the issue of education support by county governments, which is part of today's agenda, and we, I'm sure, will find some consensus around the issue one way or the other.
This is after Dr. Nyakango issued a directive to all 47 counties instructing them to stop allocating bursaries for students, and the governors raised concerns. The directive stated that financial assistance for education falls under the purview of the national government, a position the governors have contested.
We still have some outstanding issues around disbursement, and I think the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary will be briefing us on where we are on that one, so that we can again make sure that counties receive the funds they require to be able to carry out their functions.
Several governors called for the immediate reversal of the directive, emphasizing that students who rely on this financial aid must be allowed to continue their studies without disruption.
We have 2 tranches of disbursements that are in arrears. There is about 15 billion for 23 counties relating to the month of December, and 33 billion thereabout for all the 47 counties relating to the month of January. I'm hoping that the CS Treasury will discuss that.
Council of Governors Chair Ahmed Abdullahi says counties are unable to disperse the bursary funds since the issuance of the circular by the Control of Budget.
Issue of bursaries is also part of our agenda, because there are actually counties that have tried to disburse and have not been able to as a result of that circular. So we hope that we'll also have an agreement on that which unlocks the funding for bursaries so that kids can go back to school.
The agenda of the meeting was to address the revenue division of the financial year 2025-2026. The Deputy President and the Council of Governors will meet with parliamentary leadership next week to deliberate on the figure they will concur and share among the devolved units.
We will keep an eye on macroeconomic stability. We don't want interest rates and the foreign exchange rates and the other fundamentals, including inflation, to roll back. So we are keeping an eye on macroeconomic stability.
Of course, we move on to the scales of justice, where the Law Society of Kenya wants Inspector General of Police, that is Douglas Kanja, and his Director of Criminal Investigations, that is Mohammed Amin, to personally bear responsibility over alleged abductions in the country. Appearing before High Court Judge Bahati Wamuye in yet another case involving abductions, LSK and a host of other petitioners accused the 2 senior security officials of blatantly showing contempt for court orders by failing to personally appear.
In their submission in court Monday, the Law Society of Kenya, led by its president Faith Odhiambo and senior counsel Martha Karua, appearing for other petitioners, implored on Judge Bahati Wamuye to exercise the authority of the court and cite IG Kanja and the DCI boss for contempt of court.
And the country are ruled by gangsters. There is no way where the police, the NIS, who are in their work is to put their ears to the ground and know everything, where the Inspector General of Police cannot come before the court to say, it's not me and I do not know. It is possible that some of these people may not be the ones, but it cannot be possible that they do not know.
My Lord, the respondents before you today have failed to comply with those court orders, and therefore the writ of habeas corpus sought in this notice of motion application ought to be issued.
The councils played clips in court they alleged revealed the pattern of abductions which they attribute to security operatives in the country. They complained that despite the release of Peter Muteti, Bernard Kavuli, Billy Mwangi, Gideon Kibet and Ronnie Kiplagat, 2 of their said abductees, Stephen Kavingo and Kelvin Mudhoni, were still missing. But counsels appearing on behalf of the IG and DCI boss accused petitioners of abusing the court process as they already secured temporary orders requiring the duo to be absent in court. This is the second matter in which the IG and the DCI face possible censure over failure to obey habeas corpus orders, with High Court Judge Chacha Mwita having threatened action against the duo if they fail to appear on Thursday this week in the abduction case involving 3 men allegedly abducted in Mlolongo. Meanwhile, a magistrate court has allowed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to detain Benson Malova Ashiko, a cyber harassment suspect, until Thursday this week to complete investigations. Ashiko, who was arrested in Bungoma County, is accused of cyber harassment and computer misuse by disseminating offensive images on his X platform.
The matter to be mentioned before court for further directions on 10th of February.
To matters law reforms, where the Office of the Attorney General is working towards eliminating unconstitutional and obsolete laws to conform with the Constitution. Attorney General, that is Dorcas Odwor, says her office is collaborating with the Kenya Law Reforms Commission to eliminate any law at odds with the Constitution.
On Monday, the Office of the Attorney General held a consultative meeting with the chairpersons and chief executive officers of the semi-autonomous government agencies established under the AG's office, with the Constitutional Division of the High Court having declared some pieces of legislation and statutes as being inconsistent with provisions of the Constitution. The Office of the Attorney General is set to begin the exercise of repealing or stamping them out altogether.
We want to use the Law Reform Commission to make sure that we harmonize the laws that we have. Some of the instances where we've been having conflicting laws is where you find that county governments are coming up with laws in the same subject matter where the national government already has a law. For example, in alcohol, licensing and everything. 100
legislations have been declared unconstitutional, with 45 others found to be obsolete.
We want the Kenya Law Reform Commission to take the lead in identifying these laws and dealing with them. Soon we'll be having a conference on dealing with all the laws that have been declared unconstitutional and all the laws that have been declared obsolete, so that we check whether or not they are fit for purpose.
The exercise will go hand in hand with the civic education exercise.
At the same time, we are going to try as much as possible to simplify the law and to make it available to the people. At the same time, we want to look at technology, because we can leverage technology where somebody cannot afford books, cannot go to court. If you can have a way that technology can bridge that gap of poverty to make the law available to the people and the processes available to the people.
And we are telling our SAGAs that they can leverage, interlink, work together and ensure that they have services in those 28 counties.
Odwor has called on state agencies to support the exercise to conform government agenda with constitutional provisions.
There is no government agenda that progresses without the service, without the support of the Honorable the Attorney General's Office and Department of Justice. So the Attorney General's Office is aligned to what the government is dealing with.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and that story by Timothy Kipnusu takes us to the business news, where Kenya Dairy Board Managing Director Margaret Kiboji says the institution is drafting a milk payment matrix that will ensure farmers earn a minimum of 10 shillings above the production cost. Here is Benson Rioba with the details.
The Kenya Dairy Board says it will sustain the 50 shillings per litre milk farm gate price to cushion farmers from exploitation by processors and other buyers. The Kenya Dairy Board is working on a farm payment formula to harmonize and give direction on milk cooperative deductions.
We are working on is, of course, the cooperatives, where the cooperatives could be having too much deductions, and we want to cap the deductions so that the farmer can get more money.
The new matrix is aimed at ensuring farmers earn more than the cost of milk production.
Where you see it is low is because of the organization of the cooperatives. We are building capacity, because they have expansion plans and they want to expand too fast, and sometimes it affects the farmer. It's a good initiative. They're doing good things as cooperatives so that they can reach out to the farmers. However, sometimes the deductions are too high and it discourages the farmer.
The Kenya Dairy Board, is in collaboration with the International Livestock Research Institute, is rolling out training for farmers on milk handling practices to enhance safety and quality of dairy products.
It's again creating incentives for people in the middle to understand that a perishable product is no longer valuable on the market. Again, working with the government, ensuring that we have all these safety nets and checks and balances across the value chain will not only create the incentive, but also ensure that we keep a continuous value chain from production to consumption safely.
Kenya has secured market for ghee and butter in the Middle East and flavored milk in Somalia.
And 79% of Kenyans spent more between October to December 2024 when compared to a similar period the previous year, as households increased spending on food and beverages as well as clothing during the festive season. According to the ICEA Lion Asset Management Consumer Spending Index for the last 3 months of 2024, those who reported decreased spending attributed it to buying less quantities of goods. Alana Oko with the details.
It was a tough festive quarter for most Kenyans who are forced to cope with rising prices of goods, with a 30% majority of those sampled reporting that they cut out non-essential spending. 21% dug into their savings, while 20% reduced quantities of essential spending.
You're probably wondering why your friend has more money. It is because your friend is hustling beyond his formal employment. And also, he's probably above 26 years old.
We find that there are various hustles that individuals are pursuing, such as Airbnbs, for example. We also find there are hustles like cyber cafes. And most interestingly, when it comes to the boda sector, a lot of employed individuals are actually having pikis as a side business.
ICEA Lion Asset Management Consumer Spending Index indicated stagnation of income for 61% of respondents, the highest level reported in a year, with 24% reporting that their income had declined in the fourth quarter. However, individuals in real estate and construction sector had the largest proportion of people that reported an increase in income by 22%, while individuals in the wholesale and retail sector reported decreased incomes by some 33%. On the business side, 6 in 10 retail businesses in Kenya reported increased sales in October, November and December of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023.
Compared to where we were 2 years ago, the onset of the Russia-Ukraine war and the COVID pandemic, that's when we saw retailers' input costs really increase. But like we've seen with the overall inflation numbers, inflation has slowed down, and this has been pretty beneficial to retailers.
Fueled by an increase in the number of buyers, perhaps as households prepared for the Christmas festivities. The index says there was a 27% increase in sales for food and beverage outlets and a 15% increase for those selling clothing and apparels.
And Ulinzi Stars will be away to Bidco United this Friday to kickstart Match Day 19 fixtures of the FKF Premier League as the title race continues to intensify between Kenya Police FC and Tusker.
Kenya Police and Tusker FC are first and second on the table on equal 36 points, but Police edge Tusker with a 5-goal difference. The Brewers will host former leaders KCB on Sunday as the Policemen host Sofapaka in crunch matches. Police and Tusker are 8 points clear of Gor Mahia and KCB, who are third and fourth respectively with 28 points each, but Gor sit above KCB with a 5-goal difference as they await Posta Rangers on Saturday. Shabana, who will face Kariobangi Sharks on Sunday, are fifth with 27 points, 1 point above AFC Leopards and Bandari, who are sixth and seventh respectively. Sofapaka are 8th on 24 points, while Kakamega Homeboys and Muranga still take the last 2 positions in the top 10 with 23 points each. Posta Rangers and Bidco United are in the relegation zone with 17 and 16 points respectively, with City Stars sitting above them in the relegation promotion playoff position on 17 points.
Well, the National Olympic Committee of Kenya will host the 2025 Gender Conference in Nairobi. That is today and tomorrow, where they will focus on redefining the gender narrative. The regional conference aims to create a platform for dialogue among stakeholders in the sports ecosystem. NOC recently conducted a survey to assess gender inclusivity in sports in Kenya, where 83% of women identified financial constraints and infrastructure limitations as obstacles when pursuing their careers. As part of its commitment to fostering inclusivity, NOC has spearheaded initiatives to provide a platform for women in sports to convene regularly and discuss ways of overcoming those challenges. Well, that's where we bring the news to a close this morning. Thank you as always for your company. My name is Marie Yambo, and definitely Good Morning Kenya still continues, so stay with us if you can.
I'm sending you my pin location. Please send your boys in 45 minutes if I don't call back.
The man needs to know I'm spying on you. But that doesn't mean we are enemies. Then at least let's make it believable.
I am tired of cleaning your dirty mess each and every time, mother. Who are you and how can I help you?
You can start by getting out of my way. No one crosses me and gets away with it. Give it a rest. The guy is dead. Why do you want me to take a rest so hard?
Do you really want me to give the half SIM card to Kaikara? Wow, nice try.
I'll have Ruth drop them. Why now? Are you not tired? You know when I find out you are involved katika abduction ya Alice, Mills and I will... You will do what, Kaikara?
And do you want to do that? It depends on your time. I'm fine whenever. I'm so excited. I'm almost in tears because of that.
I hope you keep up the good work, love me deeply, and don't let down your fans' expectations of you.
Did I come at a really bad time?
Don't always run to my place.
Hey, prop man, who put this clock here? Isn't it morning? You wrote it as night. 8:34, 35. Are you trying to fool me, huh? Off with it. I've memorized everything.
Friday night again. Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. Now we look at what is making headlines in our local dailies. I'll start with the Daily Nation. Race against time. The IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, could be fully constituted within the next 3 months following the swearing-in of a 9-member selection panel to recruit commissioners. The absence of commissioners over the past 2 years pushed the country into a constitutional breach as key functions such as the conduct of by-elections and review of electoral boundaries missed their legal deadlines. That story you can read on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Where's the money? Treasury blamed as school heads protest. Days to end the first month of term 1. Days to the end of the first month of term 1, public schools are yet to receive funds for the free day secondary school education from government. Yesterday, the Education Ministry acknowledged the financial crisis that has gripped schools, even as it blamed the National Treasury for failing to honor promises to send the cash. Education Ministry officials yesterday held a meeting with representatives of secondary school principals to calm matters over delayed disbursements. That story, you will read it at the back page of the Daily Nation. African presidents outline plan for the Africa we want. Read that story on page 7 of the Daily Nation. Will dethrone Ruto and deliver Kenyans from high taxes, says Gachagua. That story, you can read it on page 8 of the Daily Nation. And here they have shown the photos of the commissioners or the 9-member panel that was appointed by the president and was sworn in yesterday by the Chief Justice. Bare-knuckled. That is the story or the headline that is splashed on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, in a scathing attack on President William Ruto, has claimed he presides over corruption at State House and that a new coalition will be crafted to ensure he is a one-term president. That story, you can read it on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. Another story that is making headline here, there's a story here on crisis in Goma meeting called in Nairobi. Central Kenya fears a return of Mogiki Ngang. Residents in the region feel the recent political developments are an indication that the dreaded youth could be regrouping to make their lives hell. That story is told on page 5 of the Standard newspaper. You can read that story on the Standard newspaper. So you can pick up your favorite newspaper and read the stories that are displayed there. Now we shift gears and talk about matters to do with the Beijing Declaration, and before we do that, we are going to take a very short break. We'll be right back. Don't go too far.
In a world where temperatures soar and ecosystems falter, the most vulnerable bear the brunt. Among them, women and children who face perilous journey through the changing climate. The main cause of climate change is burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas to produce energy, along with other human activities like cutting down forests and farming. This release sees heat-trapping pollution called greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, warming the planet and destabilizing the climate, especially in the arid and semi-arid areas across the country. The climate change in these areas has significant impacts on both women and children, and some of the effects in children include health risks such as severe droughts, floods, and air pollution, which expose children to malnutrition and diseases. Children often lack access to essential services like clean water, sanitation, and healthcare, and as climate change disrupts ecosystems, children are growing up in an increasingly hazardous world, threatening their health, nutrition, education, and overall development. Inconsistency in climate change has also resulted to major setbacks when it comes to women. For instance, health vulnerability, where pregnant women face extreme catastrophes like exacerbating risks related to maternal and child health. Severe climate changes also affect women's menstrual cycle, which may lead to stress and health concerns. Despite these climate change drawbacks, there are several solutions to protect women and children in the semi-arid and arid areas from the intense impacts of climate change, like developing and implementing policies that consider gender-specific vulnerabilities and needs. Promoting climate change literacy in schools and communities to help empower women to make informed decisions is another step to help protect women and children from severe climate change impacts. The government has put in measures to transition to clean energy sources to reduce air pollution and mitigate climate change, as well as improve access to clean water and sanitation facilities to help curb the issue of water scarcity and poor sanitation during climate changes. This will help promote both women and children well-being. Remember, change can only begin with you and me.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe. Thank you for tuning in. This is a live broadcast and we want to delve into a conversation that regards gender equality. And it's been 30 years since the Beijing Declaration on Platform for Action. Where were you 30 years ago? And we are going to talk about that, given that now the world is marking the 30th anniversary of the Fourth World Conference on Women and adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. Now in studio, I'm joined by Principal Secretary Anne Wangombe, who is the PS State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. Karibu sana to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for making time. Now, let's get into it. Now, for a person who is, or a young girl who is watching us for the first time and they are hearing about the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, what is it?
Thank you, Megwe. And of course, I'm glad to be here to shed some light regarding the subject matter. Let me say that we've had 4 women conferences. We had one in Mexico back in 1975, just talking about women issues, of course, women rights and gender equality. We had another one in Copenhagen, that was back in 1980, again, talking about the same things. 5 years later, we held one. We were quite bold as a nation. We held one in Nairobi, that was back in 1985. Then we held one in 1995 in Beijing. In all these conferences, women issues were discussed, but there was no global call for action. But in 1995, there was that call for global action, and there was that declaration that was made, which we refer to as Declaration, Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. It was attended by 189 countries, member states, and they agreed on a common action to be taken by all the member states. They identified 12 areas of concern. And these 12 areas included women and poverty. There was women and environment, women and violence. There was violence against women. The economic bit, women and economy, women and health. There was women and media, women and armed conflict, women and leadership, that is power and decision making. They had to look at the girl child. They also identified human rights of women, etc. So a total of 12 areas of concern. And all the member states agreed to address those areas of concern. So it was such a turning point. We would say that this was a landmark document, and each and every state was meant or was supposed to address all these areas, and reviews were to be done after every 5 years. And that is the document that has led us to where we are today. If you allow me, maybe we could look at how the women issues were being looked at before Beijing.
Actually, that was my next question.
Oh, okay. Yes. I'm already asking myself a question.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to show you how significant this document was, or it is, and how important that conference was. By the way, Kenya attended. That conference had over 17,000 delegates. And Kenya, led by Honorable Nyiva Mwendwa, also attended. So now that I preempted your question, let's look at how things were before
and after.
Yeah, before this Beijing conference. Like I had mentioned earlier, we had 3 other conferences, but there was no kind of a global understanding and commitment and a document that was supposed to be followed by all the member states. So before Beijing, let me say there was limited global action and attention to women issues. What used to happen is that our issues would be given a backseat. They were not given the priority, so there was limited global attention to women issues. And this is because there were more, we had competing, all overshadowing issues, political, economic, and economic, which seemed to overshadow our issues. And therefore, our issues were attended to sporadically, not holistically. That is one thing. And there was no, like I had mentioned earlier, there was no global, call for any action. If you were to look at the political scene, again, we were underrepresented. Women were heavily underrepresented globally. If you look at our country, Kenya, again, the parliament and the county assembly, women were underrepresented. It is so happened that we had some cultural and, traditional norms that totally discouraged the participation of women in politics. In fact, their roles were stigmatized and often dismissed. Before 1992, I think around 1992, we only had 6 members of parliament in our National Assembly. And this was attributed to the fact that we had multipartyism in 1991. So that gave rise to a number of women coming up and, getting into politics, and that is how we ended up having 6 women. You can imagine.
Yeah.
So we were heavily underrepresented, and that means that our issues were not aired out. If you look at economically, we were also marginalized. Women were marginalized globally and even in our own country. Women were not even supposed to own land. Let's start from there. Therefore, they could not engage in very meaningful means of production. They were doing the same work with men sometimes, but they would be paid less. Okay? Yeah, so I do remember in our country, sometimes you'd find that women would be put on contract. And let me also say that we had limited access to education. You know, hurdles were put all over for us. We could not access education. Families would preferred educating their boys as opposed to girls, because they would say, you know what, even if we educate a girl, the girl will be married off and will go away with her education. So they preferred educating men. And the boy child was really given prominence. So since the girl child did not have access to education, particularly that rural girl, this same girl therefore had limitations when it came to engaging in political roles or leadership, or even engaging in meaningful economic activities. Okay, they could not get proper jobs, so we were marginalized even economically. Now, looking at the legal and institutions, we had barriers as well. We never had comprehensive legal frameworks to ensure women's rights and freedom for women. Unlike today, we'll talk about what is happening today. You know, inheritance, women could not inherit. Citizenship was also unfair to women. Issues like property ownership, again, women were not supposed to own property. Let me shock you that women could not even open bank accounts unless they were accompanied by men.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Banking was a man thing.
It was a man thing. You see, you could not access credit facilities unless you are accompanied by a man. You can see where we were. We were badly off. In fact, it's unfortunate because people who are young may not understand where our nation was, or basically where women issues were before 1995 globally.
So what progress so far now has been achieved since then? 30 years later, we're talking about 30 years later of this declaration. What progress so far, especially in the country?
Okay, let's look at the reforms in the Constitution. The Constitution that we have 2010, it has been favorable to women, particularly if you look at Article 27, Article 81, Article 26. These articles have entrenched provisions whereby women now can have freedom, women can have equal rights, they can own property, they should be treated equally, etc. So we have that entrenchment of principles that talk about equal rights, you know, basically entrenching equality and freedom of all, freedom for all. If you look at leadership, the political leadership and decision making, we have seen so many women now coming up. For example, as we speak, we have 102 women leaders, both in the Senate and in Parliament. That's a major milestone. We are not yet where we should be, but at least that's a major milestone. If you look at the appointive positions again, we have seen so many women being appointed to big positions, boards, corporate boards, PSs, CSs, that is a major thing to us. If you look at education again, now women can access education. Girl child. A girl child can also be retained in school, unlike before. We have managed to retain the girl in school. First, remember, we have the sanitary towel program, which never used to be there. So the girl child can be retained in school. Girls used to drop out because of that. Again, we have managed to bring down female genital mutilation. What would happen is that once a girl underwent the cut, she would be considered ready for marriage. And the girl would be married off. So dropping out of school, now that it is an offense to cut the girl, we have seen so many girls now accessing education and progressing. Early marriages have reduced, as well as teenage pregnancies. So remember, we had major social inequalities, of course, as a result of the cultural and traditions that, the norms, which were really entrenching lack of freedom or normalizing certain things, like, for example, violence against women. That was considered normal, sexual assaults, they were considered normal, but not anymore. So we have come from far. We have now law reforms, we have policies that now protect women and the girl child. So we have actually come from far. We have had emergence of women leaders. For example, women leaders like Ritu Wangari Maathai, Honorable Charity Giru, who were recognized not only locally but also internationally. They advocated for reforms, environmental reforms, social reforms, political reforms, etc. Currently, we are seeing women governors. Currently, we have 7 women governors, and they have a lot of political influence. The likes of Anne Waiguru and Gladys Wanga, So we have actually come from far. When it comes to health again, in the past, we do not have proper access to health. We used to rely on traditional birth attendants a lot. But now we have seen a lot of, and this led to maternal deaths, but now we have seen a lot of improvement as far as health is concerned. Remember, we even have the issue of CHPs, going around all the country taking care of our population. So we have actually come from far as a nation.
All right. Even as we talk about progress, are there areas that you feel that they have stagnated in terms of progress, and what has caused that?
I will say that we have made progress in all the 12 areas of concern that were identified. But that is not to mean that we have accomplished all, that we are at 100%. No, that is not the issue. We are still making progress. A good example is the recent cases of gender-based violence, including femicide. We had made a lot of progress, but in the last couple of months, the country has experienced a spate of gruesome killings.
Yeah, in the last 3 weeks, we have lost like 21 women alone, the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a very sad affair. Last year, we also lost a number of women. So we were making progress, but all of a sudden you find that certain areas, like that area, things are not really working out. And it's for that reason that even His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, has gazetted a technical committee which is supposed to look into these matters. That tells you that it has caught the attention of the government, and our president is really concerned.
Has the committee made any progress so far?
Apparently it will be sworn in today. Yes, they have been making some preliminary arrangements here and there, but the committee will be sworn in today, and they will immediately hit the road running.
The president also promised 100 million, pledged 100 million to the fight against femicide and GBV. Has the money been released?
First and foremost, allow me to thank His Excellency the President for giving out 100 million shillings to help in combating this menace that we are currently experiencing as a nation. Now, the money, of course, is government money, which will come from Treasury. For government money to be released, there is a lot that has to happen. Remember, this is taxpayers' money, and therefore we had to do a lot of documentation. This money is supposed to go to the women leaders, because again, women leaders are in touch with the crowd. You know, all the women leaders, 1 or 2 of them that we have, they're in touch with the crowds. They know where we have pockets of violence. They know what buttons to touch where, and therefore the money will be disbursed through Parliament and the Senate, and the money is in the process of being released to Parliament. That's why I'm telling you, a lot has to be done, a lot of documentation has to be done, because it is money that has to be accounted for. It is not free money. And we are happy because the women leaders have also developed a proposal. They know what they want to do and how they want to do it. Remember that different places require different interventions because they experience different problems. There are certain areas where GBV is on the rise. There are certain areas where FGM is the key issue, you understand? Yeah. Then, urban areas are different from the rural areas, the problems that they experience. So they are handling issues the best way they know how, because they know their areas better.
How is the Beijing Declaration platform for action now in the context of these femicide cases, helping in addressing the root cause of these problems that we are experiencing now in terms of femicide and GBV?
Remember that violence against women was one of the areas of concern. Okay? So as every member state is supposed to, showcase what they have done about this. But let me tell you that this is not a problem unique to us. It is a global problem, and we have been comparing notes with other countries like Colombia, Ghana, and many other countries, Mexico, South Africa, and we are supposed to have a meeting, an online meeting tomorrow, just to compare notes. You see, by women coming together and having a common understanding and a call for action, and a document that guides their action, we have been able to get to know one another in the space, and therefore we are able to compare what's happening and see what it is that works for the countries, what it is that we can borrow, so that Beijing conference and the document that followed was very, very important, and it has continued guiding the actions that we take as nations.
Have there been national level reviews of these progresses, or how do you monitor progress in terms of the 12 areas of concern?
We normally carry out reviews after every 5 years. Okay, and it's also good to mention that annually we go for CSW meetings, and during those meetings we are also able to interact and say where we are, the status of women, where we are in all those 12 areas of concern. In March we'll be heading there.
Yes.
And we'll be celebrating the 30 years after Beijing. As a nation, we'll be celebrating 40 years after Nairobi. Okay, the Nairobi conference. And it will be a major conference, and we'll be taking stock. We'll be setting, we'll step aside and see, okay, fine, where have what journey have we taken and how have we taken it? What are the achievements? What are the challenges? And how have we been able to navigate these challenges? What remains to be done? And don't forget that we have emerging issues, emerging problems. Good example, we have some pandemics like COVID. We have issues like the climate change, which mainly affects women and children. So we have technology, okay? As much as technology has come to sort us out in other areas, we cannot ignore the fact that we have technology-facilitated gender-based violence. So there are all these things that have come up. So we'll be able to see how we can sort out these problems and compare with what is being done in other countries.
Yes. In terms of data collection and analysis on gender equality, have they become more effective and inclusive in these efforts of achieving gender equality?
Frankly speaking, yes. If you were to look at the statistics mainly from KDHS, Kenya Demographic Health Survey, we can say that we are getting somewhere. I may not have the statistics with me right now, but I can say that we are getting somewhere as far as gender equality is concerned. It is still work in progress, but like I had mentioned earlier, we are not where we were several years back. There's a lot of progress that we have realized in that space. Yes.
In terms of, are there policies or legislations going forward that would help in achieving gender equality that the Beijing Declaration is gunning for?
Let me mention that, yes, we already have some policies in place. We are reviewing others, but we have 2 new policies that we have submitted to Cabinet. That is, Women Economic Empowerment Policy, and we also have National Care Policy. If the 2 policies sail through, and we are praying to God that they sail through, they're already with the Cabinet, they will help a lot in ensuring that we attain gender equality. Yes.
What about in the most marginalized areas? We are talking about women in ASOL areas. What progress has been made, and what are the major challenges that they are facing in achieving gender equality?
It's just like, I was with the PS Asals yesterday. I visited him, and the reason for my visit was to see how we can closely work together in the spirit of whole government approach. Not like we have not been working together, but to cement it further. Women in the Asals region face challenges like access to water. Therefore, they end up spending a lot of time in search of water. They will travel for even over 40 kilometers in search of water. That is not a good thing. Remember, climate change mainly affects those areas. And remember that the woman is the one who is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that the family, feeds. So when we have the effects of climate change, the woman is the one who is affected the most. You cannot feed your family, There's basically no food. People have lost livestock in the past, etc. Access to education, again. Our children in those Asals regions, there are 23 in total. They have to travel far for education. Remember, some communities also move from one place to the other in search of, they're nomadic, in search of pasture. So it becomes very difficult to retain children in school. They also believe some of them still believe that their main thing is herding of livestock. So they'll keep children away from school so that they can continue engaging in this very important social and cultural activity of herding livestock. Access to even sanitary towels is a problem, thanks to government, because it has come up with this program. Domestic violence, FGM, you know, these are still major problems. Even as we say that we have managed to bring FGM down to 15%, all the way from 21%. That is between 2014 and 2022. We still have prevalence of FGM in those areas. In fact, the rate up there is 98%. So there are those challenges that are faced by women. Economically, they're not so, you know, empowered. They have almost no say. Some of them have been left to look after goats.
Yes.
You know, they cannot own cattle, they cannot own the camels. So we have all those challenges, and it's for that reason that I had visited the PS in charge of ASALs yesterday, PS Carol, to look at how we can further collaborate to ensure that we sort out some of these problems.
Are you working together with the elected leaders from those areas?
Luckily, the women leaders particularly, we call them women reps, yeah? They are all in GAF, and the GAF, National Affirmative Action Fund, and the GAF falls under our State Department. Yes, we are working closely. We have been working closely with them, and they are very cooperative, and they are doing everything possible with the limited resources, because women reps receive very little money. But with the little money that they have, they are doing so much on the ground. So yes, we work very closely with the women leaders.
Should it be a priority to, from that context, should it be a priority to increase the funding for women rep, especially in those areas we are talking about, to ensure that such efforts have a wider reach?
If it was possible, but remember, currently we are going through very hard economic times as a nation, and globally basically. It's not only unique to our country. But I want to believe that we'll be out of these harsh economic times at some point. And as a person, I'm not speaking on behalf of the government,
yes.
No. My only personal view is that it would be good if these women leaders got additional funding, because the work that they do on the ground is quite a lot, and it is felt, it is so impactful.
Yes.
Yes, I have been able to visit quite a number of counties to see what they are doing, and I can tell you for a fact that their work is very impactful. Yes.
Let's go back to the issue of GBV and femicide, especially when it comes, what we see in the media is what has been reported. But then again, in terms of access to justice, how is your State Department helping ladies who have been affected by GBV access justice?
Thank you. Let me start by saying that we have been working closely with the judiciary. In fact, I'm a member of NCAJ. Judiciary, in fact, it's only 2 weeks ago that we had a meeting in my office, and we agreed on how we'll ensure that justice is fast-tracked. As we speak, we have 12 courts which are dedicated to gender issues only. They only handle gender issues. And in the meeting that we held, we agreed that these cases will be fast-tracked. Now, as we look at the cases and ensure that the survivors get justice, it's also good to look at the survivors. What happens after that? We have been working closely with Nairobi Women's Hospital because they are also the founders of some centers. We call them GVLC centers, which are located or found in our major hospitals, which are supposed to give holistic care. Okay, so the survivors are counseled and they are also given medical attention. Recently, we have established Pori Care, and we have one that is functional in Laikipia, where the survivors get all the services under one roof, because sometimes it can be tiring. You have been violated and you're expected to move from the police station. Thank God we have gender desks. You're expected to move from the police station to the hospital, from the hospital maybe to seek legal services, you know, all these things, and sometimes there are delays here and there. So if it was possible to bring everything under one roof, then this would help the survivors a lot. So that has happened in Laikipia. We are trying to see how we can establish more Pori Cares in the country. So that is work in progress. We are working very closely with the police and other development partners like GVLC. Then we have some safe houses, because once a survivor has undergone or has experienced violence, taking back that person to that very environment can be first and foremost traumatizing. Then you're taking the person back to the same problem. So we have some safe houses established through GAF, but let me admit that most of the safe houses that we have in the country are being managed by development partners. We have 83. We have mapped them out. We have 83. They're being, but we are closely monitoring how they are managed. And the government has also committed to ensuring that we have more safe houses, where then the survivors can get all the services that they require. We are in the process of completing a major one in Nairobi, still under GAF, and it will make a lot of difference. It's also good to mention that in our police stations, particularly in Nairobi, we have some DBV units. Let's say you have experienced some form of violence, whether you are a man or a woman, doesn't matter, and you go to report to the police station. Maybe it's at night, or maybe even during the day, you have got nowhere to run to. We have established some units where that can host you for a day, 2-3 days, you know, very elaborate with beds, you know, with sanitary facilities, food, etc. So I can confirm that government is making a lot of progress in this area.
Yes. How about in terms of advancing gender equality now? How is the Beijing Declaration helping or engaging the younger generation, the younger demographic, in achieving this?
Youth, we are talking about the youth, right?
Yes.
Whenever we go for these CSW meetings, the youth, they're always given an opportunity to air their views and to see how they wish to be engaged. And you'll agree with me that the youth, even in our own country, they have been taken care of. That is why we have the youth fund. That is why we have each and every, like these board appointments. We'll have the component of the youth. You'll have a youth representative. So look at even our constitution, it hasn't forgotten the youth. So the youth, I would say, have been taken care of by this Beijing, because when it talks about gender, it's good to clarify that it's not only about women. So when we talk about youth, we are referring to the boy child, we are also referring to the girl child. And maybe, although you have not asked this question, it's good to mention that we have a new theme or a thematic area on male engagement. We want to engage men, we want to engage the boy child, we want to ensure that the boy child is not left behind, because when we engage people on the ground, there's that feeling that the boy child feels like he has been left behind, like he has been ignored. And it's for that reason that he projects in a bad way. Something little provokes him because he feels like he has been neglected. It's for that reason that we have programs now for boys as well. We have that male engagement program. It is doing well, but I always say there's room for improvement. Okay, of course, we are suffering from funding issues and all that, but you're trying as much as possible to bring men on board, to bring the boy child on board, because trust me, we are not going to win in gender equality, in women's rights, if we do not involve men. Because look at it this way. Who are the perpetrators?
Mostly.
Most men, let's say like 75%, or is it 95%? It's men, isn't it? So unless we also pay attention to men, get to listen to them as well, we may not get far.
Is this an indication that, in essence, actually, men or the boy child has been left out?
No. But there's that feeling. I wouldn't say that the boy child has been left out. It's only within probably the central region whereby the girl appears like he has gone a number of steps, quite a number of steps ahead. But in reality, the larger part of the country, trust me, the girl is still voiceless. The girl child is still marginalized. We have patriarchal attitudes which still marginalize the girl child. So it's only within the urban areas and mainly the central region.
How are we going to strike that balance to ensure that even as we raise the voice of the girl child, the boy child does not feel like they are being left out? Where do we create that balance?
That is why we have the fifth thematic area, which is the male engagement and inclusion. So we want to include the men, we want to include the boy child in our conversations, okay? And we also need to see what it is that we can see, because you don't want to leave the boy child behind. And by the way, when you talk about equality, when you fight for the rights of the girl child, we are not doing so to overtake the boy child, and that is what the boy child needs to understand. We do so that we can strike a balance. We're talking about equality here. We need to be equal. And when we say equal, we are not saying that in our homes, men and women, we are going to be equal such that nobody will be telling the other anything. No, you'll still have your leadership position in a family, because we cannot distort that. Or what we are asking is, can we have equal opportunities as women? Can we have equal opportunities in all spheres of life, economically, politically, socially? That is what we are looking at. When it comes to, for example, employment, can we ensure that we have that gender balance? You know, and you don't want a situation whereby we want more girls than boys. No, let's strike that balance.
Of equal opportunity.
Of equal opportunities, yes.
So are there specific actions that should be prioritized to accelerate this progress, especially here in Kenya?
Yes, for example, affirmative principles, which are also entrenched in our constitution. We have the principles. You're aware that as far as procurement of government procurement is concerned, 30% is dedicated to women, youth, and
PWD. You are aware of that. So there is that affirmative action. There is also not more than two, that's gender role principle. We are not yet there, but at the county assembly, at least we have managed to achieve that. And we are hopeful that even in the National Assembly, this will be achieved. So there are those affirmative principles that can help in this.
In this fight.
In this fight for equality.
Yes.
And our country has gone far. Yes. We have achieved a lot. But by the way, let me mention this to you, that when we go for those meetings out there, many countries benchmark with us. We may sometimes feel like we're not doing well, but we are better than many other countries. We are far ahead. That is not to say that there isn't much for us to do. Remember, we say there's always room for improvement, but as a country, we have achieved a lot, and we are proud of that.
So has the Beijing Declaration helped or influenced any activism that fights for gender equality? How has it helped in all that?
Like I mentioned, this document was a landmark document. It was a turning point, and there was emergence of very many groups, women groups, advocating for equality and women's rights. There are many of them. In the past, they were quite fragmented, and but now we at least we have a common document that guides their actions and their their activities. Yes, there are too many groups. They advocate for. We have too many CSOs, even our own women leaders. They are always advocating for equal rights, for equality. Okay, look at the G7. They have been working tirelessly to ensure that we also have many more women into the political space, encouraging them and fighting for their rights, and of course mentoring them. Okay, yes, we have seen a lot of improvement in that area.
So finally, what do you see, or what's next for Kenyan women, especially with this now? Yes, it's 30 years after Beijing Declaration, and I'll take that as your closing remark.
What I can say is that as Kenyan women, we are not looking back.
Yes.
We are soldiering on, and we are happy we have women leaders who are ready to hold the youth by their hands to ensure that they also rise. We are happy to see that the Kenyan government is very particular about the women. In fact, our champion number one is His Excellency the President. He is the one who champions our rights. So the government is keen on ensuring that we attain this gender equality, and we are happy about that. We thank God. Yeah. So we are soldiering on. You're not yet there, but we are still on course.
Yes. Thank you so much for making time to come on Good Morning Kenya. That is PS Anne Wangombe, who is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, speaking to us on matters to do with Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, now that it's 30 years since its adoption. That was in 1995. This is where we end this conversation. Thank you for tuning in. Don't go too far. Good Morning Kenya still continues. My name is Mike Migwe. Good morning.
Akiangalia huko anakuwa ni mwenye kulia, akiangalia huko anakuwa ni mwenye kutabasamu. Kisha kauliza ya Adam alayhi salam, kwa nini ukiangalia mkuliani kwako unakuwa ni mwenye kutabasamu? Kwa nini ukiangalia kushotoni kwako unakuwa ni mwenye kulia sana? Anasema kwa sababu nikiangalia kuliani kwangu naangalia watoto wangu waliokuwa wema.
Iwapo mja atatekeleza amri za Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala na kuhifadhi haki za Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basi Allah atakuwa ni masikio yake ambayo yule mja atasikia nayo. Vile vile pia Allah atakuwa ni macho yake ambayo yule mja atatumia kuona.
And do you want to do that? It depends on your time. I'm fine whenever. I'm so excited. I'm almost in tears because of that.
I hope you keep up the good work, love me deeply, and don't let down your fans' expectations of you.
Did I come at a really bad time?
Don't always run to my place.
Hey, prop man, who put this clock here? Isn't it morning? You wrote it as night, 8:34, 35. Are you trying to fool me, huh? Off with it. I've memorized everything.
Mjomba wangu ni mtu pekee ambaye nilikuwa nikimtegemea, lakini sasa hivi hajitambui.
Amejirudi. Amekuja umsamehe. Wewe hujui kusamehe, kwani wewe ni Israeli?
Nauliza hivi, ni mimi kunisomea mbele ya kiongozi ni sawa?
Akifukuzwa Karembo, kumtoa ni mimi ni kazi ngumu. Au pengine Tambura aweza kuoa.
Msichana kama huyu yuhitaji afanyiwe tambiko la kusafishwa.
Kwa taarifa yako, nyama ya sumu kwako ni afya kwa mwenzio.
Ama kumwelezea mtu ukweli ni kumtusi, basi hata wewe pia nitakutusi.
Wasemaje?
Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. People don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Friday night again. Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we have
to do it twice.
In the field of technology, artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI, has been hitting the headlines over the last years. The goal of artificial intelligence is to make machines to think like humans and perform human-like tasks.
What artificial intelligence is pretty much we've been trying to understand how machines can learn the way humans learn.
A machine that is having this human intelligence, you're just embedded in it, and then it's actually now able to actually like do task. Definitely using now the complex algorithms under it.
The way I think about AI is it's a tool. As long as human beings have existed, we've been working our way towards an assistant or a tool that can help us. So we've actually always been building AI.
Artificial intelligence has become more popular today, but the term AI was first coined in the 1950s. Advanced algorithms, improvement in computing power and storage are among the features that have marked remarkable evolution in AI.
I was first introduced to AI when I was 12 years old. I didn't know necessarily it was AI, but it was an old scrap computer that had an AI called Eliza, which was the first ever chatbot. You know, the way now we use ChatGPT.
Human intelligence, animal intelligence, and collective intelligence are among other intelligences. This begs the question, how is AI different from other intelligences?
When it comes to the AI, the AI bit of it, artificial intelligence, so this is actually intelligence that has been built by humans. So we're talking about the complexities of algorithms actually being able to work.
The use of AI in the day-to-day life results to efficiency through task automation, data analysis for informed decisions, assistance in medical diagnosis, among other benefits.
So what artificial intelligence helps you do is that this is a machine that doesn't need sleep, doesn't need to eat, it only needs electricity.
Just think of this superhuman. That's what the machine is trying to do. Not really trying, it's actually doing right now.
So what artificial intelligence does is it gives you superpowers. It can work day and night for your work. So meaning at night, it could be able to create new kinds of money for you.
It's a tool that is actually helping us.
With or without one's knowledge, many have used artificial intelligence as a cutting edge in problem solving, language processing, and e-commerce services.
If you think today, a boda rider is actually able to, complete their trips much easier because they are using Google Maps.
Look at farmers. There's a lot going on when it comes to the farming bit. So we have these agricultural, they're called agricultural officers that go about and tell someone, for this particular bit, the soil texture is like this, the moisture of the soil is like this.
Anybody who's been using a digital lending app like Tala or Branch or Mshwari today is actually interacting with AI in some form or other. If you've ever done anything on YouTube or Facebook, then you've interacted with AI.
Globally, the United States is currently leading in the AI race with over $249 billion investment. According to AI experts, Kenya is also on the race, although there is more to be done.
The government in some of the things that it's already doing is doing the things that will lead us to AI.
What I do appreciate about the Kenyan government is that it's really focusing its ICT strategy to allow more people to upskill in digital, right? Not just AI, how do you use computers and then be able to use artificial intelligence.
So we need infrastructure, right? You need electricity, right? We are doing a lot in terms of geothermal electricity, in terms of wind, so we can have a lot of renewable energy that powers AI, because AI is essentially power. You're using power to run data centers which store data.
Despite its enormous benefits, especially in dealing with big data, the subject of AI is surrounded with myths and misconceptions. Different people hold different opinions regarding AI and the effects it has on human labor.
So a lot of people would say things such as AI is going to take a job. The reality is that it's not AI that's going to take over your job. It's the person who learns how to use AI well who's probably going to take over your job, because they're going to be more efficient.
AI will lead to unemployment, but it will also lead to employment. In a recent study by the International Labour Organization, it showed that AI will actually lose in Africa 1% of jobs, while it will increase jobs by 16%.
AI itself is actually depending on humans, on what kind of data are we actually giving out. And as much as you're saying no, let's see where we're actually heading in the future. I'm not saying that it's going to actually take away, it's going to actually purely replace humans. But for now, what we can actually say is that AI is actually working with humans. AI is actually working with humans because we are the ones giving out the data.
With the fear of the possibility of AI taking over jobs, the question still remains: what should be the strategy to ensure one does not lose his or her job to AI?
Upskill yourself. So now the new packages are AI tools, AI skills. go and learn them. Go and download, go and access ChatGPT, sign up for it. Go and download, Meta, Imagine, and create some, content for yourself and learn and play with it. Create music. So really it's about people also teaching themselves and upskilling themselves. So learning the new packages, and now they're free. A lot of them are free. You don't have to go to some place and pay. It's
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba mpenzi mtazamaji mahali popote ulipo. Ni matumaini yangu kwamba umemka vyema sawia nasi ndani ya studio. Shukrani sana mwenzangu upande wa pili wa GMK Studio B. Na mtazamaji, karibu sana kwenye Studio Green ama Green Studio, studio ya kijani kibichi. Mtazamaji, ni kipindi cha kipekee katika taifa la Kenya ambacho hukujia kupitia runinga ya KBC Channel 1 na wakati huo pia kupitia KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya. Upande wa Radio Taifa yuko mwenzangu Dora Manya, mimi naitwa Rashid Momkondo. Ikiwa leo mtazamaji ni tarehe 28 mwezi Januari mwaka wa 2025, ni siku nyingine tena tunapokutana kwenye mchakato mzima wa Zinga na GMK. Ni siku moja tu baada makamishna 9 walioteuliwa ambao watatukwa jukumu la kuchagua makamishna wa IEBC. 7 tayari walikula kiapo jana katika mahakama ya juu kiongozwa na jaji mkuu ambaye pia ni rais wa mahakama ya juu Martha Koome. Wawili walikosekana, lakini watakapopatikana lazima kiapo wakile waanze kazi. Mtazamaji, jopo la uteuzi lilopewa jukumu la kuajiri makamishna wa tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka sasa limechukua hatamu yake rasmi. Kumbuka Rais Daktari William Ruto alichagua jopo hilo ambapo ni pamoja na Kiomi Linda Gaki, Profesa Olo Adams, James Evans Misati, Nicodemus Kipchirchir Bore, Balozi Kokimuli, vile pia Caroline Kituku. Wengine ni pamoja na Andrew Tanui Kipkoech, Daktari Nelson Makanda na Fatuma Saman. Mahakama ya juu Ijumaa ilitoa fursa ya Ruto kuteua jopo hilo baada ya ombi la kupinga mchakato huo kutupiliwa mbali. Nadhani ilikuwa ni mahakama kuu. Kumekuwa pia na kwa Rais Ruto kuteua jopo la IEBC kwa dharura, lakini je, mbona uteuzi huu umechukua muda mrefu kufanyika? Kuna madhara yote ya kikatiba kutokana na ukosefu wa makamishna kuwa afisini chini ya miaka 3 kabla ya uchaguzi? Kutusaidia mtazamaji kuelewa masuala haya pamoja na mengine, studioni tunaye wakili wa mahakama kuu Bi Mili Luanga. Karibu sana Bi Mili.
Asante sana.
Na vile pia tunaye wakili Shadraka Omboi. Karibu sana bwana Shadraka.
Nashukuru sana Rashid.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, kumbuka ni kipindi ambacho kama nilivyokuambia unaweza kutupata kupitia mitandao yetu ya kijamii. Nenda pale kwenye YouTube yetu KBC Channel 1 TV, na vile pia ukurasa wetu wa Facebook KBC Channel 1 TV. Tuko live na vile pia KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya. Labda nianze na wakili wa mahakama kuu Bi Luanga. Je, mchakato wa utungaji na uteuzi wa lile jopo la uteuzi ambalo litashughulikia kutoa makamishna wa IEBC kivyako inalingana na mfumo wa kikatiba na sheria unaosimamia IEBC nchini? Tukianza na hapo.
Ni kweli ukiangalia kwamba kwa hao watu wa 7 ambayo walikuwa sworn jana, wakiwa wale ambayo watakuwa ile panel ya selection ya IEBC commissioners, tumeona kwamba kuna ile kulingana na sheria, hiyo sheria inasema kwamba kuna watu watachaguliwa kulingana na vyombo tofauti. Kuna wale ambaye chama walikuwa kichagua, na tukaona hiyo ilikuwa imeenda kotini na koti ikaamua, na sasa ndio maana sasa wamechukua hao wakaweka pale, na tumeona kwamba katika wale wa 7 apishwa ama katika hao 9 kuna 4 ambao ni wanawake, 5 ambao ni wanaume. Na kulingana na sheria kuna ile 2/3 gender rule ambayo inasema haitakikani kwamba kuwe na more than 2/3 gender moja katika any panel of selection. Sasa kulingana na ile sheria hao ambao wamechaguliwa wako na 90 days ya kuhakikisha kwamba watahakikisha kwamba tuko na ile IEBC panel pale, IEBC commissioners wale ambaye sasa watapendekeza hiyo kazi ya kufanya uchaguzi. Kuna ile swala ya mpaka ambayo tunajua bado huwa tunangojea, sijui kama saa hizi tutaweza kuifanya kwa sababu muda imepitia. Tunajua kwamba kuna hiyo kesi kotini. So hizi vitu ni vitu zote ambaye sheria tayari ndio imeandikisha, sheria imehakikisha ni njia gani ambaye inatakikana ziendelezwe, na tunajua kwamba imechukua muda, na hii muda watu wengine wanafikiria imekuwa kwa sababu ya siasa. Kuna wale ambaye wanasema ni hali ya sheria, rule of law. Ukitaka demokrasia sio kitu ya chap na pia demokrasia can be painful. So ukiangalia hizi vitu zote ukiweka balance, utaona kwamba bado tuko within the law, tuko within the parameters. Tumefurahia kwamba tuko na kulingana na ile Kriegler Commission, tutakuwa na commission within 2 years of uchaguzi, inshallah. Within 2 years of uchaguzi, because hata ukiangalia hizo 90 days ambayo wanazo bado itakuwa well before August, na uchaguzi tunajua itakuwa ni August 2027.
Kweli. Yeah. Bila shaka nipate kauli yako Shadrack kuhusiana na swala hili.
Naam Rashid, mwanzo ni ruhusu kwanza ni waamkue wasikilizaji na watazamaji mahali popote walipo. Sabalheri, nashukuru sana. Mwanzo wacha niseme kwa kweli hayawi huwa. Kwa kufikia jana tuliona watu ambao wanaume na wanawake ambao tulikuwa tunatarajia watatusaidia katika jukumu hili kubwa sana la kikatiba la kuwachagua makamishna wa IEBC, wale ambao watakuja wakusaidia katika uchaguzi ambao tunautarajia sana kwa hamu na gamu wa mwaka 2027. Jana tuliona ulingoa nanga, na kwa kweli tuna matumaini ya kwamba ikifikia siku 90 ama siku zilizozidi 90, basi wale mabibi na mabwana ambao waliapishwa ama walikula kiapo jana mbele ya jaji mkuu Martha Koome, basi nikidhani wataweza kutusaidia katika mchakato huu. Ikumbukwe kumekuwa na vuta ni kuvute sana hapo awali, ndipo sasa tukajipata mahali ambapo tumejipata. Tumejipata kulikuwa na kesi ambazo zimependekezwa, na hata kwa sasa tukizungumza katika koti letu ama mahakama yetu ya kukata rufaa maarufu kama Court of Appeal, kuna kesi ambayo ilipendekezwa pale na Dr. Augustine Muli. Dr. Augustine Muli ni alikuwa na dai ama alikuwa na madai ya kwamba katika uchaguzi ambao ulifanywa na Minority Coalition Party, hii ni Azimio One Kenya Alliance, aliweza kumngatua ama akaweza kumshinda kwa kura zaidi ya 10, akaweza kumshinda huyu ambassador ama balozi Koki Muli. Na baadaye bado kwa kuona lile swala likapendekezwa pale katika Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, mahali ambapo senior wangu walikuwa na keti hapo awali. Pale akapata uamuzi ambao uliweza ukamrudisha Dr. Augustine Muli, akarudishwa pale na wakamngatua ambassador ama balozi Koki Muli. Baadaye tukashuhudia ya kwamba kesi ilipopelekwa katika mahakama kuu yetu ya Kenya, my lady Justice Janet Mulwa akatoa uamuzi wake wa maarifa sana. Akaweza kaamua ya kwamba ingawaje huyu Dr. Augustine Muli aliweza kumngatua ama akaweza kumshinda huyu Koki Muli katika uchaguzi ambao ulikuwa umefanywa kulingana na sheria ama taratibu tulizokuwa nazo, ukizingatia the IEBC Act. IEBC Act inasema yule ambaye atateuliwa ili aweze kutusaidia katika juhudi ama katika jambo hili la kutusaidia kupata wale makamishna, lazima aweze kutoka katika chama ambalo linawakilishi katika bunge letu. Lakini yule Dr. Augustine Muli anatoka katika chama ambalo halina hata mwakilishi hata mmoja katika bunge letu. Kwa hivyo kufikia pale yule jaji Janet Mulu akapendekeza ya kwamba basi lile shughuli ama ile shughuli ya kumteua mtu iweze karudiwa tena. Na ndiposa Azimio One Kenya Alliance kupitia kwa Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka akaweza kumteua akaweza kumteua Dr. Balozi Kokimuli aweze kuwakilisha the Minority Coalition Party katika bunge. Baadaye tukaona bado kulikuwa na mchakato katika koti ile ya Kiambu. Pale tukaona majaji Dora Chepkonyi akaamua ya kwamba kesi iliyopendekezwa na jamaa ambaye anajiita Boniface ilikuwa haina maana, kwa sababu walikuwa wanajaribu kupendekeza ya kwamba kuna Wakamba wawili pale katika jopo lile, kuna Wakalenjin wawili katika jopo lile. Kwa hivyo ukiangalia jopo lile lina ukabila, haliambatani sana na matamshi yaliyowekwa pale katika katiba letu. Kwa hivyo kufikia pale mahakama ikaamua ya kwamba ingawaje ni vizuri sana kuweza kuwa na ile kwa kimombo wanasema inclusivity. Ile inclusivity haimaanishi makabila yote 40 na kitu yaweze kuwa pale katika jopo lile, kwa sababu haiwezekani. Kwa hivyo kufikia pale basi mahakama ikatupilia ile kesi mbali, na ndiposa kwa mkia jana tukapata ya kwamba kulikuwa na ile tukapata tangazo katika Kenya Gazeti ya kwamba rais ameamua wanaume na wale wanawake waweze kuapishwa, na ili waweze kusaidia katika changamoto hili.
Lakini kidogo ni muhimu tukumbuke kwamba kuna swali pale ambazo za kisheria ambayo ni muhimu, labda tukiendelea mbele lazima koti itatusaidia kuamua. Kwa mfano, wakati tulianza kuwa na hizi tume sana tume ya IBC, kitu muhimu tulisema lazima Wakenya waone kwamba kuna ile representation ya Kenya nzima pale katika ile face ya commissioners, na hiyo inaanzia na ile selection panel. So ni swala muhimu, lazima tuangalie kama Wakenya, tuwezi tukapuzilia mbali, kwa sababu ile ilitupeleka 2008 karibu twende mashakani, ilikuwa ni hiyo mambo ya ukabila. Watu wakiona kwamba kuna regions ambaye wamewachiliwa pale ama waonekani kuna uzito wa kabila fulani, huwa wanasema kwamba unajua, ukifika mahali na upate mtu ambaye anaongea lugha yako, labda utasema kitu na lugha yako ataelewa, ambaye itakusaidia kushinda wale wengine ambao hawezi kutamka hiyo lugha. So hizi ni swala muhimu, lazima tuangalie. Na pia kumbuka kuna hii swala ya coalition parties. Huyu alikuwa member wa Azimio Coalition Party, na Azimio ilikuwa na watu pale bunge, iko na watu at all levels. So kuangalia kwamba ni chama gani ndani ya Azimio ama ni Azimio ni member ya Azimio ni swala ambaye lazima tuangalie tukienda mbele. Na ni swala ambaye haijaanza saizi, kwa sababu tangu kale hizo swali za utakuwa ni presidential candidate, wewe ni wa chama gani within the coalition ama ni coalition party, hizi ni swali tunaendelea kudevelop presidents sisi kama wa Kenya. So ni vitu muhimu, hii process nzima inatusaidia, na tukiendelea mbele bado itatusaidia. Ndio by the time Gen Zs ndio watakuwa natawala, labda kutakuwa na sheria ambaye ina uhakika.
Na labda kuna swala ambalo linajitokeza. Wakili Shadrack kumeelezea kwamba kabla ya jopo hili kuteuliwa kulikuwa na vizingiti mbalimbali. Vizingiti ambapo vimefanya hadi kufikia sasa kuna maeneo bunge kadha wa kadha nchini hayana wabunge. Kuna wadi mbalimbali nchini hazina MCAs, na vile vile pia hakuna mipaka hadi kufikia sasa ambapo imeratibiwa. Na jopo lile jana liliapishwa. Je, hii siku 90 ambazo zimewekwa, tunatazamia kwamba kutatokea pingamizi nyingine, process hii rudi nyuma, ama sasa tunaenda vizuri mpaka mwezi ama mpaka miezi mitatu iweze kuisha?
Ana uhuru, ana haki ya kuwasilisha hoja zake katika tuna demokrasia kama aende akasimamishe ile process ikiendelea. Kuna mtu ambaye anaweza kuja na pingamizi. Umesikia senior wangu hapa akipendekeza kwamba ni ukweli kuna mambo ambayo pengine sisi kama Wakenya tulikuwa tunatamania ya kwamba pengine tunafaa kuwa na kabila zote ziwe pale, lakini koti ama mahakama lazima idhihirishe ya kwamba kuna mambo mawili. Kuna ile kitu inaitangwa ministerial power na discretional power. Ministerial power inamaanisha kama katiba inapendekeza mwanaume achaguliwe katika nafasi fulani, ni mwanaume atachaguliwa katika nafasi ile. Lakini kama sheria inapendekeza ya kwamba mtu yoyote achaguliwe katika nafasi iliyoko pale, kwa hivyo mtu yoyote awe mwanaume ama awe mwanamke atachaguliwa katika nafasi ile. Kwa hivyo tutakapoona pengine mwanaume amechaguliwa, hautaenda kutia doa jambo lile ambalo limefanywa, kwa sababu kuna ile inaitwa discretional power. Kwa hivyo mahakama ikajaribu ikapendekeza ya kwamba nguvu ya kuwachagua watu hawa ilikuwa nguvu ambayo imewekwa ama imetwikwa katika vyama vyetu. Kwa hivyo wale watu wa vyama, wale viongozi wa vyama ndio watu ambao wako na nguvu fulani ya kupendekeza ya kwamba tunataka Rashid ama tunataka Maisini ya Lwanga. Kwa hivyo lazima tuelewe kuna jinsi ambayo sheria inapendekeza mambo yafanywe, na hamna lolote katika katiba letu ambalo linamkataza mtu yoyote aende akawasilishe hoja ili mchakato huu wote pia bado usimamishwe. Kuna uwezekano, kumbuka kuna kesi ambayo iko pale katika koti ya kukata rufaa. Dr. Augustine Muli ni mtu ambaye anatarajia ya kwamba yeye anajionelea ya kwamba ana haki ya kuwa katika jopo lile la kutusaidia kuchagua wale makamishna. Na tunapotarajia pengine mahakama inaweza kutoa uamuzi wakati wote ule. Na ikitoa uamuzi inamaanisha ya kwamba kwa sababu sisi ni nchi ya demokrasia, wanaume na wanawake katika jopo lile, akina Linda Kome na wale wengine wote, itawabidi waache kazi ambao wanaifanya, warudi wakafanya makazi zingine ambazo walikuwa wanafanya nyumbani na mahali pengine pale, mpaka wakati ambapo koti itatoa uamuzi. Lakini kwa sasa tunapozungumza hamna kizingiti
chochote.
Naam.
Nikirudi kwako Bi Emily Lwanga, labda kwa faida ya msikilizaji na faida ya mtazamaji, je, mchakato mzima ama process nzima ya kuweza kuwachagua makamishna hawa wa IEBC itakuwa vipi? Kwa sababu leo tayari kuna interviews ama mahojiano yanafanyika kujaza nafasi 12 za wale makatibu katika wizara, na huwa tunaona wanafika kwenye ile tume ya kuajiri watu, Public Service Commission, wanafanywa interviews. Je, IEBC itakuwa vipi labda?
Kulingana na sheria kile ambayo inatakikana ni kwamba within 7 days. Ni 7 days. Within 7 days inatakikana kwamba wawe wameweka zile advertisement ya invite wale watu ambao wanataka apply for hizo positions wa apply. Baada ya watu apply, wataangalia, wafanye shortlist, alafu kuwe na interviews. Hizo interviews sio interview ambayo watafanya kwa siri. Ni interview ambayo tuliona mbeleni, interviews zinafanyika in a public space. Lazima tuone sisi kama Wakenya vile wanafanya hizi interviews, tuwe tunaamua. Kumbuka hata ikiwa tunaamua sisi kama Wakenya, kuna vitu zingine ambaye panel wataangalia ambaye ni zaidi ya ile ambaye tutakuwa tukiona. Kwa mfano, labda kwa hiyo panel kutakuwa na wale wana test temper ya mtu, labda na maswali. Unajua kuna hizo tricks ambaye interview panels huwa wanafanya, ndio hakikishe kwamba watapata watu ambaye watafanya ile kazi jinsi ambaye inatakikana. Kumbuka kitu moja, shida moja tumekuwa nayo hapa Kenya sana ni kwamba commissioners wa IEBC wamezoea kujiuzulu. Na huwa inaleta shida kubwa sana, kwa sababu kuna kuwa na gap. Kama sasa hivi tumekuwa na shida kwa hii hizi miaka zote ama kwa hii muda yote, kwa sababu ya wale walikuwa 4 nadhani ambaye walidecide waka resign. Ikiwa wange resign, tungekuwa na tume ambaye ingekuwa na at least 4 commissioners mpaka wakati huu. Kabla ya hao kulikuwa na wale wengine ambao wali resign. So labda pia hiyo panel watakuwa wakiangalia, wakitest. Labda kuna kitu ambaye watafanya pale ya kuhakikisha kwamba wanaangalia, swali watakuwa nauliza ya kuona yule mtu ambaye labda akona ile staying power. Hata vitu zikiwa ngumu uko pale mpaka kazi ikamilike. So other than professional competence ile ambaye sisi wa Kenya tutakuwa tukiangalia, kuna zile zingine ambaye lazima tuamini hiyo panel ama tuwapatie hiyo room ya hiyo panel kuangalia, na watupatie wale watu ambaye tutasema hata kama mimi nilikuwa naona mtu wangu number 1 labda hajachukuliwa, lakini wale wamechukuliwa, I can see why wamekuwa katika ile panel. Baada ya hiyo watatuma names. Kutakuwa na nafikiria ni jina 3 ambaye watatuma kwa president ya chair, na jina 13 za commissioners ambaye ndio president anaweza kuchukua ama kuamua ni jina gani katika hizo ambaye watakuwa wamempatia. Alafu azipeleke mbele kwa National Assembly for vetting.
Kwa hiyo bado nguvu hapa zinabakia tu kwa William Samoei Ruto. Rais.
Tuko na rais mmoja, na rais ndio symbol of national unity. division of power, tuko na ile tuna reduce power katika hiyo ofisi ya rais, lakini kumbuka at the end of the day lazima kuwe na yule mtu, kwa sababu hata kwa nyumba mama ana ile kiwango yake, firstborn pia kuna ile space yake kama firstborn, lakini at the end of the day kuna baba ndio head of the family. So lazima to respect hiyo ofisi ya president.
Na mtazamaji, ni 2:29 saa za Afrika ya Mashariki. Endapo labda kwa sasa ndio umeamka, najua kuna wengine ambao wameamka kwa sasa na ukaamua tu kwamba unataka kutune in kwa KBC Channel 1. Kipindi ni GMK wakishirikiana na Zinga, yani Channel 1 na Radio Taifa, na ndani ya studio niko na wageni hapa. Niko naye wakili Shadra Kombua na vile vile pia niko naye ndugu yangu hapa Bi Luanga. Wote ni mawakili, tukizungumzia swala zima hili la jopo lililoteuliwa na Rais Daktari William Ruto ambalo ndilo litatafuta makamishna wa IEBC na vile vile pia mwenyekiti wa IEBC. Kumbuka unaweza ukashiriki nasi kwenye kipindi hiki kwenye ukurasa wetu wa Facebook KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya na vile vile pia KBC Channel 1. Nikirudi kwako wakili Shadrack.
Naam.
Wakili Luanga Mili hapa amezungumzia swala muhimu sana. Tumeshuhudia sana katika taifa la Kenya tume ya uchaguzi makamishna wakijiuzulu aidha kwa hiari aidha kwa shinikizo, na kuna wengine huwa ni kisiasa. Unakumbuka Ahmed Ishaq Hassan wakati ule ilikuwa ni mchakato wa kisiasa alipojiuzulu. Sasa swala linakuja hapa, ikiwa hundo mfumo, kwa sababu wakati mwingine makamishna hawa wanapokea vitisho kwamba hawezi kustahamili yale mawimbi, anabidi ajiuzulu. Future ya IEBC katika taifa la Kenya ni ipi? Kwa sababu katika muda wa takriban miaka 20 iliyopita tumekuwa na tume ya uchaguzi ambayo haiko stable.
Naam. Rashid, kawaida ya demokrasia ni kwamba kuna mshindi na ambaye ameshindwa. Na kawaida ya binadamu ni yule ambaye ameshindwa mara kwa mara huwa hakubali ameshindwa. Na yule ambaye pengine ameshinda huwa pengine anajigamba sana. Na anajigamba kwa kiasi cha hoja ya kwamba kinawakera walioshindwa. Na hiyo ni kawaida tu ya demokrasia. Kwa hivyo wakati tuna tume hili la IEBC, kawaida kutakuwa na tangazo la yule ambaye ameshinda na yule ambaye ameshindwa. Kwa kimombo wanasema ya kwamba mfumo wetu ni yule first past the post. Yani yule wa kwanza ndiye anapewa ofisi, anapewa pengine mamlaka ya kufanya kazi na kuwahudumia wananchi. Yule ambaye alikuja wa pili, pengine alishindwa na kura moja ama kura mbili. Hatutaki kujua, hatutaki kujali, hatutaki kumjali ataenda wapi ama atafanya nini. Utasikia wanasiasa wengine wakisema ya kwamba namba 2 na wale wengine wote pengine hata ule wa mwisho wote ni sawa, kwa sababu hakuna tuzo analolipewa yule ambaye amekuja pengine wa pili. Na ndiposa umekuwa ukishuhudia wakati ambapo Raila Amolo Odinga pengine anaibiwa kura ama anapoteza kura, unaona kuna ule mchakato mwingi sana mpaka wakati ambapo tunapata kuna hii broad based government, kuna zile handshake, kuna nini, kwa sababu yule ambaye pia ameshinda anataka kitu ambayo kimombo wanasema legitimacy. Unataka uweze ukatambulika kama kiongozi tajika. Kwa hivyo wale makamishna ambao tutawapata lazima waelewe hivyo. Lazima waelewe kwamba kazi ambao wanaifanya ni kazi ambao haina shukrani. Ni kazi ambao leo watasifika, alafu kesho watarushiwa cheche za matusi ama cheche za maneno. Kwa hivyo lazima tupate wanaume ama wanawake ambao watastahimili zile fujo za kuja kutoka kwa binadamu ama zile semi ama matusi ambayo pengine wananchi wako nayo, kwa sababu wananchi wana pia ile tunasema freedom of expression, kusema ya kwamba mimi sipendelei jinsi unavyofanya kazi yako kama pengine Rashid, sipendelei jinsi unavyofanya kazi yako kama pengine chairman wa commissioner wa ile commission ya IEBC. Kwa hivyo haya ni mambo tu ya kawaida tu, na ndiposa mtu ambaye pengine hana ile uvumilivu wa kustahimili pengine zile changamoto za wananchi, pengine kuuliza maswali, asikubali pengine kufanya ile application ile kazi, na akipewa aikatae, kwa sababu wananchi lazima tutamuuliza maswali kila siku. Pengine Tuesday ama Thursday tutakuja hapa tule tear gas hapa katika Anniversary Towers, kwa sababu ni haki yetu. Ni haki yetu kuuliza maswali. Katiba yetu katika kipengele cha 10 kinapendekeza national values and principles of governance. Kuna ile accountability. Wananchi lazima uwaelezee kwa kinaga ubaga jinsi unavyofanya kazi yako ili waweze kuridhika na wengine wetu hatuwezi kuridhika kwa sababu mtu wetu ambao pengine tunashabikia hajaweza pengine kutuzwa baada ya kinyang'anyiro ama mchakato fulani wa kisiasa. Kwa hivyo lazima uwe tayari kama binadamu. Kama utaki ile kazi wacha, na ndiposa makamishna ambao wanachaguliwa pale kikatiba wana ile inaitwa security of tenure. Hauwezi waondoa, huwezi wangatua. Wale Cherera wale Cherera ambao walijiuzulu, walijiuzulu kwa sababu pengine ule mchakato wa kisiasa na wakapotea. Tukaona mimi personally niliparticipate katika ile process ya kumngatua Irene Masit kutoka kwa kiti kile. Kwa sababu yeye alikataa kujingatua katika ile tume ya IBC. Na ndiposa kuna taratibu ambayo iliweza ikafuatiliwa. Kuna ripoti ikapendekezwa kwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, na ndiposa akaamua ya kwamba kulingana na ripoti hii recommendation ya kumngatua kutoka mamlaka yake basi iko sawa, anafaa ondolewe kutoka pale, na ndiposa zile security ziko pale. Mshahara pia si kidogo. Wale makamishna wanatoa mshahara mzuri sana. Wana ile security, wana magari, wana nini, mbwembwe mingi sana mzuri, mambo yao ni tunasema ni shabaha. Mambo yao ni sawa wakiwa katika zile ofisi. Kwa hivyo iwapo basi wanapokea, basi hali yao inashughulikiwa, basi lazima wawe radhi, wawe tayari basi kuweza kuwajibikia Wakenya na kuweza kujibu maswali ambao Wakenya wanauliza.
Alafu isitoshe Rashid, tena nafikiria muhimu sana kwa hii tume itakuwa ni communication. Vile Shadrack amesema ama ameguzia communication, lazima wawe wanatueleza sisi kama Wakenya. Tuliona kwamba kuna ile sijui ilikuwa tume anda nani walikuwa wanajaribu sana wakati huyu aliyetoka mwisho Chebukati, wakati Chebukati aliingia, walikuwa wakijaribu sana kuzungumza na watu, watuelezee. Hata ndio maana tukawa tunamjua yule Msando marehemu, may soul rest in peace. Tukamjua kwa sababu alikuwa anakuja pale, wanaenda katika stesheni, wanaenda katika mtandao tofauti kuelezea watu ni njia gani ambaye uchaguzi itapendekezwa na ni njia gani ambaye watu wataweza kuparticipate katika hiyo process. So ni muhimu sana kuwa na hiyo communication, kwa sababu ukiangalia Wakenya wengi ikiwa wana ujuzi ama wanaelewa ni nini inaendelea, labda Shadrack atakuwa pale Anniversary Towers peke yake akienda kula tear gas, kwa sababu wengine watakuwa wanasema tunaelewa. Unaelewa, lakini kama watu wengi hawaelewi, Shadrack akienda pale Anniversary watakuwa wengi.
Nikisalia hapo Bi Milly Lwanga, sijui jopo hili litakuwa na uhuru kiasi gani wa kuweza kutekeleza majukumu yake, kwa sababu mtakubaliana nami wawili hapa ndani ya studio kwamba mchakato mzima wa Kenya umewekwa katika swala zima la kisiasa. Wakati mwingi kesi zilikuwa zikifikishwa katika mahakama ya juu, hususan kesi za urais, watu walikuwa washaamua, kwa sababu wanakuambia majaji 4 wanatoka Western, wanatoka Nyanza, son Raila Odinga. Majaji hawa wanatoka Mount Kenya, kwa hiyo ni Uhuru Kenyatta. Na vile pili swala la IEBC yalitokea hayo wakati uchaguzi uliopita. Okay, Cherera sijui anatoka Pwani, Azimio ni Joe, sijui huyu. So hawa watakuwa na uhuru vipi? Kwa sababu umegusia swala moja la Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka ambalo ameweka jina la Balozi Koki Muli. Je, hawa watafanya kazi vipi bila mawimbi ya kisiasa?
Hawa selection panel. Naam. Selection panel lazima watafanya kazi na a bit of influence na kisiasa. Nafikiria itakuwa ni ngumu sana kusema kwamba kutakuwa na ile influence kwa sababu ya the process ambayo wamechaguliwa nayo. Kama vile parties walikuwa wakiamua ama wakichagua ni nani ataenda pale kukaa pale katika ile panel. So lazima parties watawaelezea ni shida gani ama maoni gani wanao katika hizi, na hizi zote ni systems ambazo zimewekwa in place ndio watu wawe na ile feeling kwamba wameparticipate. Unajua, ukiwacha political parties outside completely, hawana njia ya kuzungumza ama kuhakikisha kwamba wale ambaye watapelekwa pale mbele ni watu ambaye wanaweza wakaamini, kutakuwa na shida from the word go. So hatuwezi tukajidanganya kwamba tuta lock out politics completely from the process. Tuki-lock out politics completely from the process, we are failing from the word go. Lazima kuwe na ile influence ndio political parties wawe na confidence. Lakini wale ambaye watapeleka pale mbele, final determination panel lazima watatumia ile ujuzi yao na kuhakikisha kwamba wameweka pale final selection watu ambao wanaweza kufanya hiyo kazi bila influence. So ikiwa labda chama cha Kibeti imependekeza Shadrack na Mili tuende pale, lakini wakati ile panel watatuangalia waone kwamba labda Shadrack ako na ile nationalist approach kushinda Mili, wanaweza wakachukua Shadrack na wawache Mili. Na wote mimi na Shadrack tulikuwa watu wa chama cha Kibeti. So chama cha Kibeti hawata complain kwa sababu at the end of the day wataona kwamba kuna mtu wao pale. Kumbuka kwamba Wakenya 54 million plus hawezi wakazungumza. Inatakikana katika political processes wazungumze through chama vyao. Na ndio maana tunaambiwa kila mtu lazima uwe member of a political party. Hata ikiwa wewe ni CJ, tunaona CJ tumekuwa tukiona wakati wa voting media wanaenda wanafuata, unaona CJ amesimama hapo ana vote. Si wanaenda wana vote. Wakivote it means kuna political party ama political person ambaye anaona kwamba kila mtu ana hiyo haki ya kuwa na hiyo political leaning, na political issues lazima mjichangie vile tumeweka katika katiba yetu Kenya saizi through a political party. So political parties lazima ziwe na ile influence. Kwa unasema kwamba they'll only be professional ama watakuwa nini, itakuwa ni a fool's paradise. Na itakuwa ni fake na itakuwa ni calling for fail from the word go. So kitu muhimu ni kwamba hizi political parties watu ambao watapendekezwa pale wawe ni watu chama cha Kibeti isiende ikachukue mtu ambaye ajui anything about elections ama uchaguzi alafu inapendekeza pale katika panel na kusema kwamba hawa ndio watu wetu.
Ndio. Shadrack, labda ni vigezo gani ambapo jopo hili la watu 9 linastahiki kuzingatia linapoteua wale makamishna wa IEBC pamoja na mwenyekiti wao kuhakikisha kwamba wana uadilifu, wana umahiri wa kazi, viwango vya uongozi kama ilivyo katika sura ya 6 ya katiba?
Naam, mwanzo wakati ambapo pengine jopo hili litakuwa likiteua hawa makamishna, mwanzo watazingatia pengine zile stakabadhi, zile karatasi ama qualifications, academic qualifications za watu ambao wamejipendekeza ili weze pengine kutuhudumia kama wananchi katika jopo hili la makamishna wa IEBC. Hilo ni la kwanza. Zile stakabadhi ndizo zitakupea pengine ile kipaumbele. Ikumbukwe kuna kitengo cha ujasusi maarufu kama DCI. DCI kuna zile stakabadhi ambazo huwa zinapea watu. Kuna zile stakabadhi ambazo inaitwa the good conduct. Ile good conduct itakuwa bado ya muhimu sana ili tuweze kujua huyu ni gaidi ama huyu ni jamaa ama pengine mtu ambaye tunaweza fanya naye kazi ama ni mtu ambaye pengine ukiangalia historia, kwa sababu unajua hamna mgeni katika Yerusalemu. Huku sisi wote tumezaliwa hapa, tumekulia hapa, tunajuana. Tunajua huyu ni mkora, huyu ni jambazi, huyu pengine ni mjanja, huyu pengine ni mtu ambaye haizi aminika na kazi fulani. Kwa hivyo kama kuna mtu pengine kumekuwa na doa katika pengine ile tunasema integrity yake, tutaweza kuyajua. Alafu kutakuwa na ile pengine mwaliko kwa wananchi kuweza kupendekeza ile tunasemanga memoranda, ile kupendekeza ya kwamba kama una jambo fulani ambalo pengine unalijua Rashidi alilifanya ambalo pengine alijakuja usoni mwa watu, uweze ukaandika ukatuambia. Pengine wakati alikuwa anafanya kazi katika GMK alikuwa mtu pengine namna hii ama namna hii, ama pengine kama uko na sifa zake pia alikuwa mtu mwadilifu, alikuwa mtu unaweza kukapendekeza. Niposa jopo lile linapoangalia litaweza kukujua hata pengine bila hata pengine kukujua ile. Unaona? Kwa hivyo zaidi na hayo kuna yale maswali ambayo watakuwa kiulizwa. Senior wangu hapa amejaribu kujibu na akasema ya kwamba wakati ambapo unaulizwa maswali, kuna maswali fulani ambayo unaambiwa ujielezee. Si maswali ambayo pengine yanafaa mtu pengine amesoma. Inataka tu mtu awe tu na ile wisdom ya kuzaliwa. Kwa hivyo ukiulizwa swali fulani na pengine haulijui ama pengine mambo yanavyoendelea katika jamhuri letu la Kenya, tunakuwa kimombo wanasema current affairs. Ukiulizwa current affairs za nchi, ukiulizwa pengine rais wa nchi ya Amerika ni nani, haujui, juzi tumemwapisha Donald Trump awe pengine awe rais wa USA. Kwa hivyo mambo kama yale kama huyajui, inamaanisha wewe ni mtu ambaye pengine area yako hamna. Kwa hivyo kama hakuna wale jopo lile litapendekeza liseme mtu huyu tunaonelea asipewe nafasi hii kwa sababu tunaonekana hayuko tayari pengine kuwahudumia wananchi. Naam.
Bimili amelizungumzia swala la kwamba hatuwezi epuka mchakato wa kisiasa katika swala hili.
Naam.
Sijui unaweza ukatuelezea zaidi kwa sababu bado tutarudi pale kwamba hatuwezi epuka siasa. Ili ni jopo lipo. Lakini litakapoteua makamishna watakaoamua kisha baadaye utasikia pale pale yule alikuwa Mwakalonzo bana ndio maana yanitokea haya.
Naam, kwa kweli katika kuwateua wanaume na wanawake ambao waliapishwa jana na wengine wawili ambao hawajaapishwa, hilo ni mchakato ama ni mchakato ambao lazima wanasiasa wahusishwe. Kwa sababu ukisoma IEBC Act inapendekeza ya kwamba watu hawa watachaguliwa, wengine kutoka mwanzo LSK, kuna ule kuna yule Linda Kiome ako pale wa LSK, kuna the Parliamentary Service Commission, kuna wale wakilishi wake, kuna the Minority Coalition na kuna the Majority Coalition. Kwa hivyo UDA ile Kenya Kwanza iko na wakilishi wake pale, kwa sababu hii ni mchakato wa kisiasa. Haya, bado akina Azimio One Kenya Alliance pia wako na wale wawakilishi wao pale katika jopo lile. Lakini sasa baadaye katika kuwachagua wale makamishna, kamishna anapochaguliwa mwanzo hafai kukuwa politically affiliated. Hafai kukuwa ni mtu pengine wa chama cha DAP-K ile ililaunchiwa jana, ama pengine awe pengine wa UDA ama vyama hivi vingine. Hafai kuwa na ile affiliation. Ingawaje tunajua sisi kama wa Kenya watu wataenda wawachague watu fulani ambao pengine wanaonekana wanaweza shawishika na pengine watu fulani. Ile inajulikana. Unajua we are a political country. Hii ni nchi ambayo pengine tabei ya mkate. Masomo ambayo watoto wetu wanasomeshwa ni swala ambalo limeamuliwa kisiasa. Kwa hivyo mambo ya kisiasa hauwezi kuyaepuka. Na mimi mara mingi mimi ukasirishwa sana ukipata watu ambao wanasema pengine hawataka kujihusisha na siasa. Hutaki kujihusisha na siasa, na siasa inaamua bei ya mkate, inaamua bei ya chakula, inaamua mpaka mfumo wa masomo ambao tuko nao katika jamhuri yetu la Kenya. Mpaka ile SHA na SHI zote zinaamuliwa na mfumo wetu wa kisiasa.
Bila shaka mtazamaji amesema SHA, kuna SHI, lakini ameepuka SHE, SHU. 45 dakika zimekatika baada ya saa 2. Mtazamaji, tunazungumzia kuhusiana na swala zima la mchakato wa kuiunda tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka. Hadi kufikia sasa mtazamaji, kumbuka bado ile boundary review haijafanywa, na vile vile kama nilivyosema kuna maeneo bunge mbalimbali ikiwemo eneo bunge la Banisa ambapo mbunge wake aliweza kuaga dunia baada ya kupata ajali ya barabarani. Hadi kufikia sasa watu wa Banisa hawana mbunge, na haya yote ni kutokana na ukosefu wa makamishna katika tume huru ya uchaguzi wa IEBC. Ipo tu sekretariati lakini hakuna makamishna. Ndio swala ambalo tunalijadili hapa ndani ya studio. Labda kwa dakika moja kabla kwenda kwa upande wa pili wa msikilizaji, nirudi kwako Mili Lwanga. Je, inawezekana kwamba huu muda wa siku 90 ambazo ili jopo limepatiwa wasikamilishe kazi yao, na pengine wasipokamilisha impact yake ama athari yake itakuwa nini?
Ndio, inaweza kuwa kwa sababu fulani. Kwa mfano Shadrack alizungumzia hiyo mbeleni, akasema kwamba ni haki ya Wakenya. Nimeona tayari watu walikuwa wakiuliza maswali ambaye about some of appointees, wanasema kwamba mtu fulani labda kuna swala fulani ama swala fulani pale, labda mtu ataenda kotini juu ya hao watu. Wakati mtu atakuwa ameenda kotini, muda bado itakuwa inaendelea. So inaweza kuwa kwa sababu fulani ama fulani wakose kuhakikisha. Juzi tumekuwa na mvua kubwa hapa. Unaweza kuwa na acts of God ambaye ifanye kwamba hawezi wakaendelea ama wameweka interview date. Kunaweza kuwa na kuna hiyo process kisheria ya kuhakikisha kwamba wanaweza wakapewa muda, inaongezwa, ikapanuliwa ndio waweze wakakamilisha hiyo process kulingana na sheria. Sio outside the law, lakini muda imepanuliwa kulingana na sheria.
Mtazamaji, Shadrack amesema tunaishi Yerusalemu, tunajuana, lakini Dora anasema naishi Yeriko. Haya, Dora kutoka Yeriko, wasikilizaji wanasemaje kuhusiana na swala hili? Tuvae hivi vidude angalau tuweze kusikia wasikilizaji maswali yao kuhusiana na swala hili. Dora, kwako upande wa pili wa studio.
Naam, shukrani sana Rashid na wageni upande wa pili wa studio. Msikilizaji, nafasi ni yako. Nilivyosema kwa ufupi zaidi swali lako kwa wageni wetu asubuhi ya leo. Radio Taifa KBC.
Halo, Dora Manya.
Naam.
Mimi Toroli Vitali kutoka Sito Tati Barito County Kasita Locations.
Naam.
Kwa maoni yangu niseme IBC commissioners walikosana kabla karibu election Tuesday, watafanyaje?
Okay, swali lako limefika. Makamishna wakikosana kabla ya uchaguzi mkuu kutafanyika.
Halo, jambo Dora Manya.
Si jambo.
Omar Baba Saina kutoka Lesotho County. Swali langu inaenda kwa Mili Luanga. Wacha kwanza niambie happy new year. Alafu niko na maswali mawili kwake chap. Swali la kwanza, hii neno independent, utakuwa independent namna gani? Na labda rais amekusaidia ama chama fulani na kusaidia nini kupata hiyo kiti? Alafu swali la mwisho, je, wanapo delay kuchagua hii tume, nani huwa anafaidika, rais ama ni chama? Kwa sababu mimi naona wakati mwingi wanalaumu rais.
Asante Bwana Omar. 0732741111 0700176699 pia katika mitandao yetu ya kijamii Radio Taifa.
Dola manya.
Naam.
Maani face mwana wa Dea nikiwa Efra cha Mazuri Punyore nikiwa chonjo kama simba mwituni.
Swali.
Hili swali langu ni hili, kuna watu ama eneo fulani imekosa wawakilishi wao kwa muda mrefu kwa sababu ya tume ya uchaguzi haikuwepo. Hata hao watu wataambiwa nini ama watalipwa ridhaa gani? Shukrani.
Asante. Tupokee moja labda ya mwisho kupitia 0700176699 au 0732745111. Radio Taifa.
Dola manya.
Naam.
Daniel Ngoma. Mimi langu nasema tu awali nitakulia opera wasio wakora kama waleta shida 2027 wao watu wazuri mwachunguza kabisa kwanza. Asante tu. Yeti.
Asante. Nyingine Rashid.
Naam, simu moja tu kama itapatikana.
Safi, nipokee simu nyingine moja kwa ufupi sana, alafu turejee upande wa pili wa studio Radio Taifa.
Hello.
Naam.
Naitwa Mr. Mwangi kutoka Mpeketoni.
Karibu.
Nauliza, hii panel ambayo imeundwa tayari ambayo sasa iliapishwa, iliteuliwa na president, alitumia criteria gani? Je, kama pengine wako pocketed such that waleta makomishina ambao watakuwa na mapendeleo kwa rais?
Shukran. Rashid.
Na asante sana kutoka Yerusalemu. Turudi Yereko, na kuna maswali yameulizwa, mtakuwa huru kuyajibu. Kuna yale ambayo yameelekezwa kwa mtu binafsi, lakini kwa yale ya jumla mtakuwa huru kuweza kuyajibu. Tuna muda wa dakika 8 tu kuweza kutamatisha kipindi.
Naam, mwanzo kulikuwa na swali ambalo msikilizaji alisikia na aliuliza na akauliza pengine wale makamishna wakaweza wakosana wakati ambapo pengine wameteuliwa kutakwaje. Mwanzo niseme ninasikitika kwa sababu hamna msikilizaji hata mmoja mwanadada ambaye amepiga simu. Wote ni wanaume. Lakini cha kwa kweli ni kwamba katiba letu linapendekeza la kwamba kukosana si jambo geni, ni jambo la kawaida. Lakini katiba inapendekeza kwamba tukikosana kuna zile taratibu ambazo tunafaa kuzifuata. Ukiangalia kipengele cha 159 cha katiba kinapendekeza kwamba watu wanapokosana tujaribu kuelewana. Zile wanasema negotiations, wanasema mediation. Tutafute mtu wa tatu aweze kutusaidia ili tuweze kuelewana. Kwa hivyo ile isitie watu shauku sana kwa sababu katiba imependekeza. Zaidi ya hayo ni kwamba makamishna hawa wote wako na ile kitu tunasema individual responsibility. Kwa hivyo tutajua yule kama mmoja ambaye ameteuliwa na anajaribu kutuletea shida ama anajaribu pengine kuharibu uchaguzi, tutaweza kumjua, na hiyo haina wasiwasi.
Na kuongezea kidogo hapo, kumbuka kwamba president atapewa 3 names ya chair, 13 ya commissioners. From hiyo 13 atachukua 8. So ikiwa kuna mmoja atatoka kwa sababu ile lolote, kutakuwa na bado kule zile names ambayo wale walishapitishwa na panel na president anaweza select. So kutakuwa na replacement. Ndio maana hapewi jina moja tu. Ikiwa huyo chairman ndiye atakosana na watu wote watake wamfukuze, kutakuwa na chairman mwingine kwa sababu president ana jina 3.
Naam, alafu kuna swali lingine limeulizwa. Jopo hili kuchagua hawa mabibi na mabwana ambao waliapishwa jana, kama kumekuwa na mkono wa rais. Kwa kweli rais amekuja hapo mwishowe. kumekuwa na mchakato wa kuchagua wanaume na wanawake hawa umekuwa ukifanywa na LSK imefanya kivyake, wale pengine Public Service Commission imefanya kivyake, Parliamentary Service Commission imefanya kivyake, ukiangalia Azimio One Kenya Alliance imefanya kivyake, chama cha rais pia kimefanya kivyake. Kwa hivyo kuna ile system tuko nayo ya kikatiba inajiita system ya checks and balances. Kwa hivyo kuna mambo ambayo yanafanyika katika tuseme bunge letu, utuzi wa sheria, lakini tukiona sheria ambayo haandamani na katiba letu unaweza kuipendekeza au ukaipeleka pale mahakamani ili iweze kutiwa doa. Kwa hivyo ile ni jambo tu la checks and balance. Baada ya wanaume hawa na wanawake hawa kuteuliwa na vikundi vitofauti ambavyo iko pale, rais amekuja kama kuweka ile kidole, kuweka ile seal na kututambulisha watu hawa ndio ambao wamefanikiwa. Hilo tu ndio jambo ambalo pengine mimi naweza sema. Kwa hivyo hakuna ile interference imeingililia pale na rais.
Na mtu aliuliza kwamba kuna hizo delays, who benefits? Hakuna mtu ambaye ana benefit. The entire country loses, kwa sababu ikiwa tumekosa ile tume, kumbuka kwamba kuna vitu fulani zinachelewa. Kwa mfano, mpaka saizi hatujafanya issue za mpaka, na tukikosa kufanya vitu fulani kama hiyo issue za mpaka, kuna legal implications, kumaanisha kwamba kutakuwa na vitu lazima koti itamua tena, instead of kuamua kulingana na ile njia ambayo tulikuwa tumeweka sisi kama Wakenya kulingana na katiba. Koti ndio itaamua ni njia gani ama ni constituencies gani bado zitabaki pale kama hawataweza kufanya hizo boundaries review. Pia kumbuka kwamba kulingana na sheria, na hapo the legislative arm of government waliweka systems in place ambayo inasaidia ikiwa hakuna mbunge kwa sababu ile fulani, ile CDF yake bado iko pale. So yule mbunge ambaye atachaguliwa atapata ile CDF. So at least kwa hiyo aspect, hiyo constituency haitakuwa na any loss, kwa sababu ile CDF yao haitamezwa na hizi constituencies zingine kwa sababu wamekosa mbunge. Ile ambayo labda lose ni kwamba kutakuwa na hiyo sauti yao wakati kuna voting ya kutoa Gachagua for example, labda sauti yao haikusikika pale, ama katika county assembly wakati mtu anajaribu kutoa governor, labda ward yao haikusikika pale kwa sababu hawakuwa na representative. Lakini ile fedha ambayo inaenda katika hiyo ward ama constituency, kuna ile system ambayo legislative arm of government wameweka kuhakikisha kwamba ile pesa itapotea. So ile mbunge akiingia, wale wengine wakipata ile tranche yao ya anapata plus ile backlog ambayo imekuwa pale.
Swali la mwisho kabla tufunge kipindi, kuna mmoja aliuliza kwamba kuna ward, maeneo bunge ambayo hayajawahi kuwa na wabunge. Kwa hiyo kuna ukweli kwamba kuna baadhi ya huduma wamezikosa. Akauliza yule simba wa mwituni, je, nani hata walipa ridhaa? Kuna ridhaa?
Naam, kwa kweli ni ukweli. Najua eneo bunge la Ugunja baada ya Mheshimiwa Opiyo Wandayi kuingia broad based government halina mwakilishi. Kuna maeneo mawili, Magarini na Banisa. Na Banisa. Maeneo yale mawili baada ya moja kuaga huyo wa Banisa na huu mwingine wa Magarini baada ya kungatuliwa na koti ya upeo maarufu kama Supreme Court. Kwa hivyo kuna zile eneo na najua pia kuna wodi nyingi sana ambazo zina wakilishi. Na zaidi ya hayo kuna watu ambao hawafurahishwi na wabunge wao na wangependa, kama pale Kajiado North nilisikia wangependa kumngatua yule mbunge wao ako pale. Kwa hivyo kuna zile, najua kuna ile taratibu ambayo iko pale. Na najua unajua ukiangalia muda haumngojei mpaka mfalme. Naam, na muda wa uongozi ni umewekwa pale katika katiba letu. Baada ya miaka 5 kunakuwa na ule uchaguzi. Kwa hivyo miaka ambayo imetupita, miaka 2 ama miaka 2 na nusu ambayo imepita, ambapo pengine maeneo haya ya kuwa na mwakilishi, ile tutasema tu ni pole, kwa sababu hamna lolote ambalo linaweza kufanyika. Ikumbukwe baada ya makamishna hawa kuingia katika ofisi zao, kutakuwa na bado zile taratibu za kuanza kufanya ile wanasema kwa kimombo by election, ili tuweze kuwa na mawakilishi. Kwa hivyo ile ni kinyang'anyiro, kutakuwa na kinyang'anyiro kile, na yule mtu ambaye ataingia pale ajue hata kuwa na wakati. Unajua kuna mtu ambaye anafikiria pengine baada ya kuingia pale aingie, tuseme pengine mwisho wa mwaka huu pengine kuwe na uchaguzi, alafu mtu pengine apishwe aingie pale, hata ingia pale alafu aombe kuextend ile term yake mpaka 2029 ili kucompensate wakati ambapo pengine hawako na mwakilishi. Naam.
Naam, asanteni sana wageni wangu kuja ndani ya studio. Najua mna shughuli nyingi mahakamani, lakini mmetenga muda wenu kuja kutuelimisha mawili matatu. Asanteni Bimili. Asante vile vile pia bwana Shadrack.
Nashukuru sana Rashid.
Naam, mtazamaji, ni saa 3 bado dakika 3. Utakapotimia saa 3 kamili utapata taarifa ya habari kwa upande wa Radio Taifa, lakini nitakuwa nakuregesha vile vile pia upande wa Studio B ambapo mwenzangu Mike Mwigwi na vile vile pia yuko Vivian pale ambapo atakuwa anaendesha gurudumu la GMK. Mimi huwaita watu wa GMK na wao niita mimi mtu wa zinga, sawa tu. Hakuna shida. Kwa niaba ya wote ambao wamefanikisha kipindi hiki, asanteni sana wapiga picha wangu hapa ndani ya studio na vile vile pia mafundi wa mitambo, asanteni waelekezi upande wa redio, asanteni vile vile pia waelekezi upande wa runinga, vile vile pia asanteni sana watayarishi wa kipindi hiki Dennis Chisaka na Nancy Kemto, bila kumsahau mwenzangu Dora Manya. Mtazamaji, pumziko fupi, lakini nakwambia hivi, ukipenda vumilia, na unapopendwa kuwa tayari kuvumilia. Mimi naitwa Rashid Mumkondo, kwaherini kwa sasa.
And do you want to do that? It depends on your time. I'm fine whenever. I'm so excited. I'm almost in tears because of that.
I hope you keep up the good work, love me deeply, and don't let down your fans' expectations of you.
Did I come at a really bad time?
Don't always run to my place.
Hey, prop man, who put this clock here? Isn't it morning? You wrote it as night. 8:34, 35. Are you trying to fool me, huh? Off with it. I've memorized everything.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
The HIV epidemic in Kenya began gaining attention in the early 1980s. By the 1990s, the virus had spread rapidly, leading to a national health crisis. At its peak, the adult prevalence rate was among the highest in the world. Today, Kenya has made remarkable progress. The adult prevalence rate has decreased significantly, but the virus still affects millions. Approximately 1.6 million people live with HIV, and the challenge remains to ensure access to treatment and prevention for all. In rural regions, accessing care can be difficult. Innovative approaches like mobile clinics and community health workers are bridging gaps in service delivery. Shining Hope for Communities Shofco, a grassroots movement based in Nairobi, Kenya, in urban slums, is providing services, community advocacy platforms, education and leadership development for women and girls. Despite this, Shofco is also aimed at providing quality primary healthcare and healthcare education in slums communities where the prevalence of waterborne diseases, malaria and HIV, which is on the rise.
In general, our approach in terms of health service provision is that we are working on two aspects. The first aspect is the community health strategy, and then now the secondary part of it, which is now services at facility level.
In Kibra, the prevalence of HIV is significantly higher than the national average. Limited access to healthcare, coupled with high levels of stigma and misinformation, exasperates the crisis, but Shofco has come to bridge this by providing medical care.
My name is Efi Onditi. I'm a clinical officer and a clinic coordinator in Shofco Chandaria Clinic. It's one of the Shofco clinics. We have two currently. We have the services that we provide in the clinic include family planning, we have primary health care, we have laboratory pharmacy services. Also we have a CCC which deals with HIV patients and TB patients.
Counseling and support groups play a critical role in helping individuals affected by HIV. In Kibra, community health workers are on the front lines offering not just medical care, but emotional support and education.
We usually give these clients TCAs monthly, or when a client is diagnosed, we will initiate them on drugs depending on whether the client is ready. If they are not ready, we cancel the clients first until when they are ready. So we do baseline investigations, then we start monitoring them on a 2-weekly basis. Then depending on how the client is faring on, we progress them to a month, then after every 3 months. Others will even give them TCAs of up to 6 months.
Two residents from Kibra, Susan Ligare and Bernard Owino, have come out proudly to speak about their HIV status and how they are mobilizing the community to get tested and know their status.
Niligundua tarehe 12 mwezi wa 4 2017, na vile niligundua si mara ya kwanza, nilienda hospitali tu kale ka chemist, nikaenda kupimwa. Sasa ile hali ilifanya nikaenda kupimwa ile herpes. Nilikuwa na herpes kwa mwili. Sasa ndio huyo daktari akanituma kwa Shofco niende nitipiwe huko. Kufika kule nikapata niko na virusi. Si kufa moyo. Nikaingia nikapimwa, tukatatanisha na huyo daktari, lakini nikamwambia lazima utanipima na utanipa result zangu. Nikapimwa. Ijapokuwa haikuwa rahisi, lakini nilikubali yote sababu ilikuwa imeshanipata. Nikatipiwa na nikapimwa, nikapata HIV positive, nikachukupali. Hiyo siku ndio nilianza kutumia dawa yangu hiyo tarehe 12 mwezi wa 4 2017 mpaka leo ningali natumia dawa zangu.
Nilijua kwa kupimwa, hali ya HIV nikapimwa, nikapatikana niko na virusi. Nilipimwa 2016 mwezi wa 10. Nikapatikana niko na virusi. Immediately nikaenroll kwa dawa. Nikaanza kumeza dawa, nikasema mpaka sasa hivi naendelea kumeza dawa. Na wakati ya kwanza dawa kwa mara kwanza kulikuwa na changamoto za kawaida za dawa zilikuwa nazo. Kuna hizo kidogo ambayo ilikuwa inaleta mwili kwa sababu hazikuwa zimezoea mwili. Sasa kuna wakati ilikuwa inaleta shida kidogo, lakini nirudi nikazoea nikaenda dawa mpaka sasa naendelea kwa dawa.
Despite advancements, stigma and discrimination remain significant barriers. Many people living with HIV face a lot of fear to know about their status, which can deter them from seeking testing and treatment. Susan and Bernard help in sensitizing the community on the importance of testing.
Wana Kibira kama hapa Kibira, kila mara huwa nawaelezea, ukiwa mgonjwa usikue mharaka wa kwenda hospitali, unameza madawa. enda pima hali yako, ujue vile uko. Kama uko HIV positive ndio uanze dawa, lakini usikuwa una mwaraka kwenda kwa chemist ukinunua dawa, na nawaambia waendelee kupima.
Kwa shauri yangu nimeona hakuna haja mtu waogope. Ni heri ujijue mapema kuliko ugunduliwe kama pengine umelala chini. Watu wengi watajua sana. Unajua ukienda peke yako ujigundue, utajua mapema. Ukienda kama uko mzima, uko na afya yako ya kawaida, unaenda kama unatembea peke yako, unaweza jieleza peke yako, unapimwa, unarudi nyumbani ukijua niko na virusi ama mimi sina. Na wakati utaenda na mtu, unajua watu wengi ambao wanaweka siri. Yeye pengine atatoka siri yako. Pengine atambii mtu mwingine akifikiria na mweleze kumbe bana. Yeye mwenyewe hali yako, alafu aanze dawa.
Women living with HIV are more likely to access HIV testing and antiretroviral therapy than men. This is due to better health-seeking behavior among women and the existence of HIV-related services designed specifically to reach women, such as services to prevent mother-to-child HIV transmission that are provided during antenatal care.
One of the areas that is a challenge, that has a challenge, is on ANC, because when you are testing our pregnant mothers, it is always advisable that they come with their partners. So in most cases, you find that it is the female clients that comes, but their partners are never anywhere. Even in testing in general, it's always the female who are tested more than their male counterparts. Yeah, and then testing in youths is also on the low. Yeah, they are not turning up in numbers as expected. And one of the things that you're noting is
This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Degwa. Thank you for staying with us. Now we get into a different segment right here on today's program, and we will be looking at cyber security, dealing with cyber security to be specific. And with me is a cyber security expert and a software engineer. His name is Keith Baraka Kaunda. Keith, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you.
How are you feeling this morning?
Nervous.
Don't worry, you're gonna be okay. Let us begin by just setting base to this conversation by defining what cybersecurity is.
In layman terms, it is keeping safe, like being safe in your environment with your devices. Yeah, that's just it.
That's the simplest way to just being safe with your devices.
Yeah.
In your environment.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like well put. So now when we talk about us being safe in our environment matters, dealing with our devices and whatnot, just speaking about the cyber environment, just what are some of these threats that we are keeping safe from? What are some of the emerging threats?
There are phishing attacks, ransomware, cyberbullying, malwares, viruses, IoT vulnerabilities, just to talk about a few. Yeah.
And how do we deal with these threats?
Mostly, if you're using devices, you have to do updates, very frequent updates, because for every update, it comes with its own serial number. It comes with its own IP. Once an IP is changed, maybe if it's a malware, it is homeless. It now has to start looking again. If it is a ransomware or something of the sort, or an IoT attack, cyberbullying, those ones you activate two-step verification. Those ones, that's the best. That's the best way right now for the layman to just keep safe.
Yeah. Nowadays we are always on our phones.
Oh, yes.
You're on your phone right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like the phones are our day-to-day, nowadays. And so, just me having my phone at hand, what are some risks that I may be putting myself up for?
Data breaches. Your phone takes all your data from you. You have your bank card records, you have your medical records, you have even your ID on your phone. Now imagine someone else comes and just gets to you, maybe your IP address or your location, they have everything of yours. That is a data breach, and it's a major one. Currently,
Yeah.
actually, that's the one that is most rampant. Yeah.
Is there a way for individuals to protect themselves from that? Because I don't think we can be able to keep that all that information away from our phones, because I think it's the
our
easiest
life.
way. Yeah. It's the easiest way for us to access some of these things, or just have them, the phone is like the easiest place for us to store some of this information. So is there a way that you would advise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Number one, leave free networks. You're going to a coffee shop, you're at the airport, it's a free Wi-Fi, leave it alone. Use your data if you must. If you have to connect to that free Wi-Fi, use a VPN, a virtual private network, and make sure it's a paid for one, because the free ones also have the same vulnerabilities. They bounce off the IP, yes, but they won't go as far as masking your IP for you. Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the emerging cybersecurity trends that we should know about?
Mainly phishing and ransomware.
Yeah. Probably for someone who may not understand, when you talk about phishing, what exactly are you talking about? When you talk about ransomware, what exactly are you saying?
Phishing attacks are when a cyber criminal hijacks your data and then uses it against you. Yes. For blackmail, maybe, like you go to X now and then you find a video of sorts that is incriminating, or a sex tape. No one can upload their own sex tape online. Someone just had to do something about it.
Yeah.
Or a ransomware, where now these ones go to the bigger institutions like banks or the government, or even churches actually, when they have your data. Someone goes and gets your data and then uses it for criminal activity.
Yeah. Okay, so that is what you mean by that. Those are some of the trends that are in that environment. That is the cybersecurity environment. So how do we get to prioritize cybersecurity risks? What's the best way to prioritize some of these risks?
Have just, number one, two-step verification. Number two, update your phone constantly, on a constant basis. And if it doesn't have updates, get one that does. Because right now phones are being outdated. Most phones are losing updates. I know that the Apple devices lose updates after 7 years. Samsung comes for 5 years. After that, anything that is lower than that goes 3 years tops. After that, seriously look for another phone. Or
after how long?
After 3 years.
After 3 years, you should change your device.
Yes, if you're not using the flagship devices.
Okay. Yeah. Main reason?
The updates are
just to avoid the risks.
Just to avoid those risks. The updates are very important. As they come, things come changing. There's a new operating system. There's a new user interface. Now imagine you're in 2025. You still have the user interface at 2015 because you don't feel like your phone is lagging enough to update it. Okay, I agree. There is financial constraints here and there, but if you can, do it. If you can't, go to the other option of activating VPNs. Make sure it's always on. When you're on data, when you're on Wi-Fi, even if you're using that Wi-Fi that is secured, it's always on. Yes.
Okay. What is the role of AI when you talk about cybersecurity?
AI is supposed to make things better. It's supposed to make things simpler. But as much as it is, it's also kind of making things more difficult.
Yeah.
It is allowing more of theft to go on because there is plagiarism in the form of theft, especially that one.
Yeah.
It is being used a lot, like a lot. Someone wants to do a document for work, they go there, ChatGPT. And it's the ChatGPT that is not paid for most of the time, that everyone uses for every other thing that you're not supposed to use it for.
Yeah. So it plays a big role in cybersecurity. You've talked about maybe the negative. What are some of the positives that AI is playing when you know around cybersecurity?
We have business intelligence. We have the learning of the algorithm to be able to be tailor-made for you specifically. It understands what you want. It understands how you want it. It understands everything that you need to do so that you can be able to get to a complete consensus for yourself. Yeah. So once it understands, it's able to give you the data that you need to be able to grow.
Yeah. And just probably still on that, what is the best cybersecurity strategy or strategies? What are the best cybersecurity strategies in general?
In general,
Yeah.
just like I said, just don't go for the free things. That's, I think, the number one, the best. Don't go for free stuff. Because free stuff online can end you up in trouble.
Yeah. What are some other strategies that maybe one can, implement?
That one can implement. Make sure you're going for a secured, not secured network ati kuna password ya Wi-Fi. Secured network ati you are in your own virtual private network. You have created for yourself.
Yeah.
And mainly, if you're going for that, I would say, and this is not a promo, but it's because I've used it, go for CyberGhost VPN. It's the best.
Okay. So mainly it's on the network you're using.
Yes.
Yeah. Mainly when you look at your strategies on cybersecurity and ensuring that you're secure, it's all in the networks
it's
that
in
you're
the
using.
network that you're using, because it's in the network where you will be tapped. Maybe you're making a call. It is in the network where someone will be able to get in between your call, between myself and you. There's someone hapa katikati anasikiza tu kila kitu unasema, and if you do something wrong, tiny but wrong, ni hivyo. Either you disappear or something just goes wrong with you.
Yeah.
One day try it. Okay, not try it for real, but
one day I should try, get myself.
You could try, but
Yeah.
no, don't do that. There are some words that if you say, if you speak loudly, it even flags the government. Yeah. And currently it's gone so far that even WhatsApp is being tapped. So get a way to talk to someone. If you want to talk extremely sensitive matters, there is Google Meet. Use that. It's still part of the outset there, but use it. You can use that instead. Yeah.
So all our conversations, everything
is being tapped. Everything is being listened to, and your phone listens to everything.
I feel the phone listens.
Oh, it
because
does.
most times you would say something, and then the moment you go, online, you will find whatever it is you were looking for, and you didn't even search about whatever topic it was, but just you mentioning about it.
And then usahau, and then you find it in an ad. Or the suggestions za YouTube, hiyo ndio kitu ya kwanza inakuja. Or Pinterest, kitu hiyo ya kwanza inakuja.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the phones listen to us.
They do.
Who's listening?
It's
Who's
not
on the other side?
It's the AI that the phones are using that is listening to us.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So, what are some of the most common security vulnerabilities that you would say organizations should look out for?
Data breaches, insider threats, and APTs, that's advanced persistent threats. So data breaches, it's just the idea that someone hacked your system, they got enough data from maybe your accounts to incriminate you for life. Maybe hujakuwa ukiweka vitabu vizuri, they have that data on you, and they can mess you. And then there's the insider threats. If you're in a company, and in this company, maybe you're my boss, and I'm not exactly happy about that, so I take information from the company and take it to another company so that you can be pulled down.
Yeah.
That's an insider threat.
All right.
And then there's the persistent threats where someone has just been hacking you, You sort it out, they hack you again. You sort it out, they hack you again. Like, wako tu hapo na wewe. Kama, it's like they're waiting for you to sort it out so that they can just hack you again. Usually they use the keyloggers. So maybe they got access to your office or to a device in your organization, and you're using a local area network. Those are LANs. Therefore, America, it's a USB dongle that is so small you wouldn't even notice it. Mostly inakujanga kama ile ya mouse.
Yeah.
Ni kadogo hivyo.
Yeah.
So ameweka, you whatever keystroke you do, anaona. And they get your information like that.
Yeah. So how to curb that?
Number one, check your machines every time. Ukiingia kwa computer, like when you're in your machine, check it, check all the ports, check that the things that you left at the ports are what is there. Check that there is no port that has been interchanged. Make sure that everything is where you left it. That is the best way to curb like something of the sorts of a keylogger. When you open your machine, make sure there is nothing like TeamViewer. TeamViewer is the one that is mostly used. Once you put TeamViewer in my machine and your machine, I can see everything you do as long as it's on and it's minimized, and you won't notice it because it's minimized.
Yeah. So that's the best way to go about curbing some of this. And those are the vulnerabilities we were talking about security-wise that organizations may overlook. And are there mistakes you feel maybe companies make?
Yes.
Yeah.
Number one, when you open your website, there's a URL. And at the URL, there are upokando URL on the left. It will either tell you secure or not secure. If it's not secure, make it secure. Pay for those licenses. This is not just for companies outside there. It has gone including into the charge those licenses. And if you really can't pay for those licenses because maybe your hosting service went down and you didn't know about it, because once you pay yearly, you don't check your hosting service again. So maybe it went down, you never checked on it again. You pay for someone to do the work. Once they have built the site, let them host it in a new hosting. In that hosting, make sure that SSL is paid for. It's usually an option. Most people don't even check it. But it's usually an option. Make sure it's paid for. And it is the yearly payment, make sure that is included. That is the best way to keep your system in check, because you will have your website in check. You will have maybe your system in check. Things are online. Even that system of yours should be online on a server. Imagine if it's on a server and that server is not secure. What happens?
All right. What trends do you think will shape the industry in the near future? When we talk about matters cybersecurity, just how is the future looking like? What are some of the trends that you feel will completely change the game? You can tell us negatively first, and then
the trends that will completely change the game, and actually have already, the listening in to answer na hiyo. That one, okay, it may be built for the positive, yes, but it has already gone into the negative. That I already know what you were saying, I have understood it, and I didn't like it, so I'm now coming to look for you so that tunaweza tatua this matter, or there will just be drama somewhere. The listening in is already a whole different thing. It's, what are we calling it in school? Eavesdropping.
Yeah, eavesdropping.
Yeah. Eavesdropping has already become a whole sort of drama in its own self, and it's a trend we have learned, we have adapted, now we are doing it. There is the phishing. All these things were done, they were made for like a white hat hacker. A white hat hacker is the good hacker. Who, if
there's the good hacker and
there's
the
a bad hacker, and then there is the neutral hacker who gets paid either way.
Okay, so, could you define them for us? Of course, I think we know the but you can just define the good hacker, the bad hacker, and the middle one.
So the good hacker is called a white hat hacker. They do penetration testing. They do testing for security firms, for security things in firms, basically. The black hat hacker is the one who is not testing your security system. He's going to breach it, or she's going to breach it, so that they get the data and do whatever they will do with it. The grey hat hacker is
That's the
one hata yuko shua kule yako.
It's called the grey hat.
Yes. Yeah, anataka kama kuna kitu mbaya, he will definitely earn. Kama bado. Yes.
Yeah.
So
What are
that's
you
the
looking
difference.
for matters cybersecurity? You know, industry, just what are you looking for?
Forward to being in a society where I no longer have my data. That this data is mine. To me, bana. Yes. I don't feel like that will ever happen. But yeah.
Yeah. You don't feel
Yeah, that we went out, that one went outside the window a long time ago.
where we are.
There's no data that is yours.
Yeah.
Saizi unless kama hata pesa, unless you transact cash to cash, your cash is not safe. M-Pesa has started losing. You just chilling, unaangalia, una notice you don't have 3 bob, you don't have 5 bob, you don't have a shilling.
Oh, okay.
That you had.
I've not encountered that. I don't think so. But yeah, okay. So, you know, as we finalize on this conversation, it's big now.
Yes.
Almost everyone is on social media, you know, from the very older generation to the youngest generation that we have right now. So just what are the risks of being on social media, and what would you advise, you know, as someone who's an expert in, you know, in cybersecurity, just what would you advise for those who are watching us right now, who I know almost all of them are on social media? Just what are the risks involved on that, and how to stay safe?
So social media comes with videos, comes with photos. Don't watch everything you see. Don't select everything you see. Don't touch every photo you see, especially on ads. Kwanza hiyo. That's the biggest one. Don't touch every photo you see on social media. Maybe there's one that you understand. Maybe you're the one who made the ad. That's okay. But you found an ad. It's there, like Betika ime pop up. Usiiguse, wachana nayo. Let it go. Let it go, please. Because the moment you touch it, it will redirect you to somewhere. That redirection will cause something else. It can even cause you a malware. Imagine you have a malware and you don't even know how to deal with it. Or you have a malware, this malware is now eating up your documents, and those documents were crucial to your well-being or your existence in general. You just lost them like that. So that's something that you don't do. Yeah.
All right. On my last question, we hear people talking about, I have been hacked, you know, my WhatsApp was hacked. Please do not, you know, respond to anyone who will reach out to you using my Instagram page has been hacked, my Facebook page has been hacked. Is there a way one can protect themselves from these hackers, from their accounts being hacked?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Two-step verification comes in big there, because WhatsApp allows it, Instagram allows it, Facebook allows it. I've even noticed they have gone as far as going to your SMS and your email. Once you have those two, you have data, which gives a number that is only valid for 30 seconds. After those 30 seconds, you have to add to key in a different number. Now, when you're logging into your social platforms, you activate all these measures. Once you have these measures on, you're good, because no one can go past all of them. Because when maybe I hack your Twitter and try to change the password, it will send you the code. It won't send me the code. And you will see the code. Just don't change that password. Don't change it. The moment you change it, system will know that oh yes, this person has left kuna kamwanya hapa. That is where the bug can go through. So don't change it, leave it as it is.
Okay, all right, well noted. So your final remarks on this?
My final remarks are, when you have a company, a business, big or small, make sure you have, if there's something that you take that is for people, there's data that is owned by people, that is maybe for the least technical people, who are mostly the church, but they have data. Yeah, what one may let a tithe, offering, and everything. You have data. Make sure your systems, your websites are secured. You have the SSLs. You have a web. If the SSL has, there are sometimes that the system just refuses to buy the SSL. Update the website. That is the only way you will get an SSL change. Yes, and pay someone to update it. There are people who actually do it outside here for as little as 50,000. Just update that website, and it will sort you a big deal. When you're going outside further into systems, update the system software, update the hosting for that system. You will be good to go.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Keith, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you.
All right, this is where we get to end Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who has been tuned in. We do this again tomorrow. We do this again tomorrow, same time and place. My name is Vivian Degwa.
In different stages of human life, from puberty to adulthood, our bodies go through notable changes, such as increased body hair, body shape changes, and incredible growth spurt. Having a healthy understanding of sexual reproductive health is vital for the general well-being of a person.
Involves both physical and how emotionally you're feeling about your health. So there's a direct relation to how your self-esteem, to whether or not you're dealing with symptoms of an STI, to whether or not you feel you've been coerced into sexual activity.
Sexual reproductive health is basically education on sex. That's the simplest way I'd put it.
It's physically how you're feeling about your body, physically how you're feeling, actual raw symptoms, how you're feeling about your body, and then emotionally to how confident you are you experiencing any stigma, and all comes together to bring around the whole entire concept of sexual and reproductive health.
In many homesteads, the discussion around sexual reproductive health is often shrouded in secrecy and sometimes even misinformation. In my quest to find out the truth behind it all, I met Arvin Amukasa, Bani Awor, and Samuel Mibe, who shared their opinions on the subject.
We are not comfortable at all. It's taboo. It's unheard of to comfortably talk, especially talking about the fact. And the only time we talk about sexual health is when we sensationalize the conversation.
In my experience, a lot of young people don't really like talking about sexual health unless it's with their peers, maybe in controlled settings.
Easier to talk amongst peers about sexual health. It's always much easier to talk to your friends because they're not judging what you have to say. You also get to hear different experiences of what is happening or what's new, what's happening in the sexual space.
According to the World Health Organization, WHO, lack of information on sexual reproductive health is among the causes of unwanted pregnancies, unsafe abortions, and sexually transmitted infections, STIs, especially among the adolescents.
Around COVID, Kenya became third in the world in teenage pregnancies just because COVID was happening. HIV prevalences around people my age is 15%.
The lack of awareness leads to a lot of health issues and challenges because we find that You might have early pregnancies, people have some diseases that they cannot talk about.
There are real-life consequences that from not having the right information that I keep discovering.
The loss of lives is undesirable even among the unseen beings. According to WHO, each year, an estimated 1 million people acquire a new curable STI. The estimates also showed that there are 39 million unsafe abortions globally each year, resulting to approximately 33,000 deaths. With this data in mind, something ought to be done to change this distressing narrative.
Say from teenagers, because even when we're in primary, we are being taught about reproductive health, and it sparks some curiosity, even if you're not able to talk about it.
Platforms like our own that try and drive open and honest conversations where you can talk to an AI anonymously and get your questions answered. Second is information, like other partners getting the right information in spaces about the topic. Lastly is, and which is harder, is changing our attitudes around sexual and reproductive health. When you give people the information they need, you're protecting them. Not giving them information is harming them, but our mindset is we need to make information age appropriate. Do not tell some people about some things. That's an entire attitude change.
Good to have an open communication and access to information.
A call to action by the United Nations Populations Fund motivated Alvin Amukasa to invent SophieBot, an automated conversation to aid in answering sexual reproductive queries.
AI meaning artificial intelligence. When you're talking to SophieBot, it's not a human being understanding and answering a question. We built technology that could learn from previous questions to answer new unexpected questions.
I've interacted with SophieBot, and so far I can say it's a platform that allows an individual to ask sexual-oriented questions, and they get responses on what to do or what it entails. Yeah, just generally giving information on various sexual topics.
So that's the whole source into it, that you're not talking to another human being to get your answers, you're talking to our technology who can give you consistent answers.
Artificial intelligence, AI, continues to redefine the health sector day after day. Mr. Alvin Amukasa shared with me the other ways AI can be used to improve health operations, enhancing medical services.
Cancer X-ray scans, CT scans, you can automate technology to predict if there are diseases in there, and some cases are projecting more accuracy, better accuracy than humans. So imaging, computer imaging and AI, and especially for health imagery, like it's a huge industry. People are banking big on that.
An investment in sexual reproductive health is an investment in one's future. This journey begins by starting a conversation about sexual reproductive matters, exploring available resources, and embracing the power of making informed choices on the subject.
Try and explore, ask questions, and I think it will give you the right feedback for your information.
The advice I'd give to someone who's trying to learn about sexual health, that they should not be shy about it. Everyone needs to, or has a right to, discover themselves sexually or be able to be connected to platforms that educate us on sexual education.
Step one is to have open and honest conversation. It's not a time to laugh or crack jokes when you talk about sexual health. It's not a time to sensationalize the topic. It's a time to have sober and open conversations. So have open and honest conversations. And if you're in doubt about the actual facts and figures, ask people.
Mchumba wangu ni mtu pekee ambaye nilikuwa nikimtegemea, lakini sasa hivi hajitambui.
Amejirudi. Amekuja umsamehe. Hujui kusamehe kwani wewe ni Israeli?
Nauliza hivi, ni mimi kunisomea mbele ya kiongozi ni sawa?
Akifukuzwa Karembo, kumtoa ni mimi ni kazi ngumu. Au pengine Atambura aweza kuoa.
Msichana kama huyu yahitaji afanyiwe tambiko la kusafishwa.
Kwa taarifa yako, nyama ya sumu kwako ni afya kwa mwenzio.
Ama kumwelezea mtu ukweli ni kumtusi, basi hata wewe pia nitakutusi.
Wasemaje?
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of